Welcome to Wednesday Comics.
Brought to you by rootsoftheswampthing.com and Siouxpercon 2018 Return of the Con.
Hey everyone, keep turning those pages.
Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my left, we have Alex, Captain America himself. How you doing?
Hello everyone.
Put your fucking name in between Alex and... Oh, wait, no. Only Alex. I thought you said the last name too. Garrett is to my right. That is
Hi there.
Kylo Ren himself.
Wow. You need to write that one down.
See, I get one good one for like 6 months of bad ones.
Do you like that?
But I like...
No, I do not.
I do. Okay, I'll be Kylo Ren.
Okay, you be Kylo Ren.
And I'm Kylo Ren, Marvin. Who
Who am I
right?
then?
We got a Porg himself. Garrett.
Hey, I will be a porg.
What's a porg?
They're the new little bird things. I don't know how you do it, but hey, that's pretty
it's a
cool.
bird?
It's a little creature. It's a bird. Those are birds. They look like hamsters.
I thought the
They look like
porgs
fucking hamsters.
were actually really good.
The Porgs?
Did you like the porgs? Or did you get kind of Ewok flashbacks?
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
But that was part of the aspect of people not liking it was that.
Oh, porgs?
Yeah. We saw the Last Jedi. I almost said The Force Awakens, which I have. But this guy didn't see it, obviously. You know that Alex is out on Star Wars. It could be like Star Wars or the end of the world. Alex would be like, well, go fuck your guy. We're dying, I guess.
Let's do that.
I'm not gonna see that
Game
movie in
over,
theaters.
man.
We're not going to do a full review. I just want to let you... No spoilers, so keep listening. I just want to let you know that I liked it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. Really liked it. Definitely want to see it again.
Just because I think my opinion's not formed completely. Like, I need to see it again to see if I really do like how much I liked it. I enjoyed my time there. There was a lot of stuff that was very different than I thought. It definitely is the best looking Star Wars,
Oh, yeah.
the funniest Star Wars, and I think it has some of the best moments in Star Wars. I'll say that.
Taking the word out of my brain.
What we are going to
I give it a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, well.
He's also drinking peach schnapps right now, so.
What do you do?
I am actually drinking, so if this show goes off the rails because of me, apologies.
To be fair, next week I really do kind of plan on just
Speaking of which,
chucking a lug.
for our video listeners, look at this cup. I'm not going to tell you on the audio. You have to look at the video and see what kind of cup that is.
To be fair, from a distance, I'm sure that looks like just a big gray ball.
No, if you're a fan, you know.
If you give a shit.
What we're actually going to talk about in Free Talk is we're going to talk about something that happened Thursday morning, very early. Woke up at 6 a.m., saw the news.
That's when Disney gets you.
21st Century Fox and their assets were sold off to Disney, $52 billion. I believe it was like 60, but then they also bought their debt, so it's actually equals out to about 52. So they get everything that Fox owns minus Fox News, Fox Sports 1, and what was the last thing? There was 3 things. No, I was
Like FX. No,
they'll get FX. They'll get National Geographic.
Okay.
They'll get 21st Century Fox, Fox Searchlight. When I was sober, I couldn't say
just
that.
all that Fox stuff.
They get everything basically besides their news and sports. And so there's 2 different aspects of this. I saw that and was like, for me at least, I looked at that and was like, I don't know if that's good for business, because if you have somebody which they're going to own 40% of the market in terms of TV and movies, it's hard for anybody to get something done when you have one person telling you what you can and can't do, right? Like, imagine like if all the studios were owned by one person, like all the movies you're going to get are going to be what they want, and you're never going to get anything come out that's like, oh wow, that's really different. Or something. It's all going to be either that movie or independent studios, but they'll have so much power that maybe those independent movies won't come in theaters. They'll be able to do what Disney did, or actually has done, where like Star Wars has to play for 4 weeks. They're taking 70% of the profits for those 4 weeks.
So small town theaters can't
Small
really
town
stand a
theaters can't
chance.
play it because I read an article was like a guy was like, by 2 weeks, all people in town are going to be able to see it, and I have to show it for 2 more weeks. It's not going to play to anybody. I'm going to lose money for 2 weeks. So they decided just not to play it at all. Which sucks for that town, but like that's kind of the game that they're playing now. So imagine that times now they have more power, and that you just leads to more stuff like that. It leads to like even back in the day, Disney is responsible for the copyright laws, how they are right now, is that like something's supposed to be public domain after a certain amount of time. So Mickey Mouse should be public domain, but they made it to such a point where Mickey Mouse isn't public domain. So like the copyright laws have been kind of been rewritten by Disney because of all this stuff. So like you get stuff where they can make the rules up as they go because they're so big. And that's the only part that concerns me. It still actually has to go to Congress or president for antitrust laws. Because you can't really have a company that big, like it actually is against the laws, but they have to decide whether or not it is a monopoly or not.
Right.
So we'll see that. If we get past that part, if we forget about that for a second, and we just think about what does this mean for, like this show, we love comic book movies. What does this mean for...
It means Ryan Reynolds is fired off Deadpool.
Deadpool, X-Men, Fantastic Four, which there was, for a little while, there was a little speculation that Fantastic Four might not be included because their rights are actually owned by somebody else that Fox has a deal with. If you've ever watched, there's a documentary about that Fantastic Four movie, that first one that came out.
Yeah.
It talks about that company. But the CEO of Disney did say when they made the deal, we welcome Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Deadpool to the Marvel Universe. So I'm assuming that means they have them. He wouldn't have come out with that if he didn't. So what does that mean for movies? Do you want to see, let's first up, obviously the obvious one, X-Men versus Avengers. That was the storyline. Do you want something like that to happen?
No.
I'd rather have them team up. I don't care about them fight. I'm sick of heroes fighting. I don't want to see heroes fighting.
We've already seen Civil War, and watching Avengers versus X-Men would never match anything as to what the comic books were.
Right.
You're never going to watch Colossus cave in Spider-Man's face. That was the best part of the whole book.
You could, though. I mean...
You could, but you're never going to... Like Civil War, in the comic books, it's hundreds of characters fighting. It's not just 12 or 14 or however many there were. You're never going to get the whole team of X-Men. You're never going to get all these mutants to come together.
How about we go back to just something simple? X-Men movies. Do you think that in a Marvel studio run, X-Men movie would be better than it has been with Fox?
I think so. I think it's the perfect time, too, to get a nice reboot in there. Like, I know they're trying to do it, but I mean, there's so much time.
I have no interest in that Dark Phoenix movie at all.
Yeah. It's not needed. Like, it's basically Bryan Singer being like,
is it New Mutants? One?
Well, New Mutants is another movie. But the Dark Phoenix.
No, I get that. I was going to say, New Mutants actually seems interesting for the fact it's a horror movie, but I'm not even going to go see it. I'll wait until it comes out.
Yeah. I mean, the Dark Phoenix thing, I know it's just Bryan Singer like trying to get his 2 cents on the thing that he missed on.
I don't know why he thinks that's the only X-Men story. Like
I know, there's so many more.
Tried to do it twice already.
Yeah, I would love to, because then that's the perfect time you could recast Wolverine, or you could bring in like Laura Kinney.
Do you think? I was going to say, do you think they recast Wolverine, or do they wait and get Laura come in first?
I would love.
They could do whatever they want right now. They can act like Laura's been the Wolverine for a while.
I'd rather see them just do the Laura.
I think so. Make it your own.
Let Logan be done.
But that actress again, though, because they even said, I mean, Fox's plan is for her to reprise that role as Laura Kinney.
I got an idea. Laura's going to be the new Wolverine in this Marvel MCU kind of Wolverine. And then, because Hugh Jackman said he would come back at one point to do Avengers, if he were, and now it's possible.
Yeah.
He says the only time he were to come back, you do some sort of time travel shit, old man Logan comes back and he joins the Avengers for a movie. That way he's old already. And that way you could be like, there's a one shot and then he's gone.
I actually thought about if they were to bring in Fantastic Four and at least Wolverine, but you could always bring other X-Men in to do the second movie of Infinity War. That way you don't have to have any build-up. You can just bring in these characters.
It's possible that we actually see an Infinity War that is more like Infinity Gauntlet than
I think it's too far in the game.
You think so?
I think that they would be a
Silver
great...
Surfer doesn't show up?
Silver Surfer could. Galactus? It's going to be someone not super huge. It'll be someone big. But like to fit them, I feel like that should be the focus point of like the phases coming up. Like that'd be cool. Like you're going to run out of smoke eventually.
But then do an introduction of Reed Richards and Namor. So you bring in both a part of the X-Men and Fantastic Four. And then they can be the Illuminati in Infinity War.
That's
to be
possible
fair,
also now.
Marvel, you can have this idea.
Wait, that's not
the royalties.
it's not passable 100% because Namor, we're not sure who owns those rights still.
Yeah.
Might be Universal. Namor, for some reason, I don't know why.
I didn't know he was even a character that someone could own right now. I assumed he was
Because wasn't he owned under the Submariner?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's...
Universal still owns She-Hulk and Namor.
really.
I don't think you would ever be like, hey, what you guys were making a She-Hulk universe. So they might just sell them off too. Like, might as well. Two characters' rights. But
I think it would fix the villain problem in the MCU. You get a lot cooler.
I don't think the villain problem is the villains. I think the villain problem is the writing.
Yeah, I say everyone
It
wants
could
to
be,
make no one
but
definitive
there's 4
bad
villains all in Marvel.
They're so worried about getting the heroes right that the villains are an afterthought in those universes.
Yeah, which is bad.
Because if we think about it, who we have Thanos,
Loki.
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 Are you going by who's actually bad in the movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Baron Zemo from Winter Soldier should be a great villain. He's a great villain in the comics. But in that movie, he kind of just is like this guy who's in the background going like, oh, like doing all this stuff.
Right.
And he's like, no, he should be better than that. Fucking Red Skull should have been a villain that
The best villain in the whole universe.
And he's in one movie and he disappears and hasn't been back.
To be fair, I think the best villain actually is the Vulture, where he actually has the intent to kill Spider-Man.
I'm talking about in the movies, dumbass.
Vulture's in the movies, dumbass.
Which, when?
Homecoming.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's considered.
Are you a dumb shit?
I forgot that Spider-Man was part of Marvel, but still. Yeah, right. He one shot.
Like Malekith,
I can't even keep him.
I think Malekith was wasted in that fucking Dark World movie. Like what he's just
They got him wrong.
They got him wrong.
Made him super serious and like he's not even maniacal even a little bit.
No, who else do we have? Mandarin, which
Ironmonger.
Yeah. What do you mean? Whatever Ben Kingsley was.
See, now, to be fair, I wish that Ben Kingsley really was the Mandarin. Because I thought he at least looked the part. Yes, he's not Chinese. But at least his outfit and the way he was sitting is like, oh my God.
I don't believe for a second Guy Pearce.
No, that's the thing.
I'm the Mandarin. You just got blown up.
Now you're dead.
Yeah, you gone.
Who else do we have in those movies? Is that it? There's got to be more villains
because
than
Winter
that.
Soldier's a good guy.
Oh, the thing I hate the most, and I think it's a reason why I don't hate, but I don't enjoy that first Guardians movie as much as I can, is Ronan the Accuser is fucking awesome in the comics. And in that movie, they make him some guy who hates Kree, right?
Yeah.
No, he is Kree. He hates Kree. No,
he's Novacore, whatever.
He is Kree. He is Kree. He hates whoever it is, and he's like so hell bent on like destroying that species, and that's all he cares about. Plus, his fucking makeup look horrible. But in the comics, he actually is not really. He's lawfully good in a way that like he just hates the Guardians because they're outlaws, but he also hates Thanos because he's evil. Like he does what's right. He's like a fucking judge.
Oh, I think he's the Doctor Doom. What he's doing, he thinks is right.
But actually, what he's doing is right.
Ooh, Dr.
Like the Guardians
Doom,
stealing
He'd be
shit.
a great
So like
villain coming
he's trying to bring him to justice, but
I thought they're going to
Thanos.
make him an infamous Iron Man.
No.
They wouldn't bring him in being, hey, you're going to be Doctor Doom and you're going to be a sweet kick-ass dude. You're going to be this.
Sure they will, because they're
dumb shit.
rebooting the Fantastic Four, basically.
Here's
of course they will.
remember years
That's
back.
who needs to show to beat Thanos in the second movie.
This is
Is Doctor Doom just comes and blows the shit out of him.
If that happens, I will stand up and clap. Just like in Last Jedi, I thought a character was going to show up at one point. And I got so excited, and I was ready to stand up and clap, and it happened. But yeah, Doctor Doom. That's also like if we talk about how Fox has failed, Doctor Doom is like the number one. Fantastic Four in general, but Doctor Doom is the number one example. I don't understand how you get him wrong, especially in that second movie. You really need to bring him in the Fantastic Four, but he's not their first villain. He needs to like be the guy that's there. You build him up for 2 movies. He's the guy in the third movie. First movie, like I said, Mole Man. Let's go.
To be fair, it's the same as our Spider-Man trilogy that we would, not the one that you and I came up with, the whole build-up to having a Green Goblin. He's not the first bad guy to show up. He's got to be the one that lays the groundwork.
That's what I mean.
end.
If he shows up too early and you kill him like they usually do, then he's gone.
Yeah.
Their greatest adversary is gone right away, and
they're murderers then.
Hey, does he die in that movie? No, he's in the first 2.
He gets cooked alive.
Who?
In Doctor Doom. Which one?
Dr. Doom?
Doctor Doom gets cooked alive
Comes
by.
back in Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, how?
Magic. Duh.
He is crispy. He's well done.
Also, can we please stop making Dr. Doom this guy who likes Sue Storm and that's the reason why he hits Reed? That's not the case. He's just a guy who practiced magic for a long time and wants to be the best of the best, and he wants his country to survive. And like you said, he thinks he's a hero. He is a hero for some part of it. And they just get in the way. Fantastic Four.
I like
just
how
gets
in the
way.
reboot they like name drop Latveria, but you never get like.
Is that really the thing?
Yeah.
Is that he just wants to have his own little country?
He wants his own country to be the best.
Keep getting in the way.
But then at a certain point, he's like, like the country thrives, the people love him, and he's like, these people are failing the world. I need to make the world better. But Fantastic Four's like, no, you can't take over. If he took over the world, he said everything would be good, but they won't let him do it. So that's kind of what you need to make a part where you're like, he's got a point. I mean, that's it. That country loves him. Nobody's doing bad over there. Like, yeah, he's their supreme leader, but like, at what point do you give up your freedom for security?
Makes sense that Doom would want to beat the shit out of Thanos. Thanos is going to go destroy his country. He loves his country.
What do you think about Thanos? Do you think that he's going to work out, or is he going to be a bad villain? Is he going to
like a not a good villain? You mean?
Yeah, is he going to be another?
I thought you asked. Do you think Thanos is going to work out?
That's kind of the point of the movie.
Just watch Thanos.
Is he going to be another
bench
case of them not getting it right? Or is he going to be? I think Loki works, but I've explained to people over and over, like, oh, Loki works out. It goes, but if he was just in that first movie, he would be another one in that line. It's only because he's been in like 5 movies that he works.
I think Thanos would work. Not super proud of the fact that they changed his design like overnight. Like, I know that that's maybe just an initial
me
thing.
too.
But I think that's a dumb thing to do. You're promising this huge onslaught since the beginning, and then he comes in and he looks totally different. I'm like, that doesn't really create cohesiveness between the movies to me.
I think it's another case of when I complain that everyone so they're like, oh no, that doesn't work for movies. People will think that's too hokey or too campy.
That he can't be purple.
That
and
he can't
stay
be purple and have his helmet. They're like, take that off. The helmet looks stupid.
See, the helmet thing doesn't bother me right now because my hope is that when he shows up, when he shows up, he is underestimating these heroes. Yeah, they've thwarted everybody else he's hired, but they can't be that big of a deal. So he's coming in undressed for this fight, where when he finally gets the gauntlet finished, he's like, fuck you guys. And then I assume either a helmet shoots down from the ground or he's got magic and he forms his helmet. And then he kicks the shit out of everybody.
He's had his helmet before.
No, I know he wears it, but he's out in space. He's,
Just to wrap up the free talk.
Wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
I would love in a reboot for X-Men to actually see them in costumes. Like the chance to see them in their actual costume, spandex, whatever. Like, even if Laura Kinney is Wolverine, I want the Wolverine outfit.
You're going to exactly where I was going. I was going to say, to wrap it up, what's one thing you actually want to see come out of this?
Well, that's not the one thing, but that's one thing I want to see.
I don't know if there is one thing that I want to see.
Do you want to see like X-Men, like legit, like full costumes?
To be fair, like even the movies they did, they were again
hear me out,
in
Alex.
their realistic
X-Men
outfits.
starts. We get a full off. It starts off with a battle scene, right? And everybody's in there. They have all these cool moments.
There's one thing that'll make me excited for an X-Men movie. Sentinels.
They're fighting Sentinels at the beginning.
And not the BS that they had in Last Stand, where you don't even see the fucking Sentinel.
That's what I mean. What if it like actually is like legit Sentinels? You have Cyclops actually being Cyclops and not some second thought character, and he's leading the team.
Yeah.
And then, because Marvel likes their fan service, we get a reworked X-Men theme, just like the 90s one. And that's how the movie starts.
I even tried playing that song for my daughter last night just to see if she'd kick. God, that is one of the best songs. Mm-hmm. I would actually probably agree with you. I hope that instead of doing what they did in Apocalypse, I know they tried to half-ass the outfits.
Right.
Give them the fucking spandex.
I know, right?
And let the sweet, I actually love Cyclops' outfit.
Yeah.
I love the across the chest
His
strap.
new one, the red one? Oh, no, it's 90s.
No, I hate the cross-X thing. That bugs me.
Yeah.
But his regular blue one, I love.
Yeah, the classic vintage X-Men costumes. Like, you can tailor them up a little bit to look good. More modern if you need to, but otherwise keep them as classic as you can.
Garrett, what do you think?
Do the same for the bad guys. Let them be classic.
I would say I'd look more forward to like Fantastic Four, because it's kind of like that Spider-Man fatigue of like it's always ending in flames, where it's always got to be rebooted because they just can't get it right. I'm like, give me an accurate representation of the Fantastic Four that can last. I don't want something that's a one shot.
And let Chris Evans be Johnny.
And Cap at the same time.
After he dies as Captain. Bring him back as Johnny.
All I want is Deadpool 3 with Howard the Duck. That's what I want. Not really. I do. That would be actually pretty funny. I like Howard the Duck.
Do you think they'll recast those characters? Not Deadpool, right? You think Ryan?
No, he'll be around.
Yeah,
they know. Like I sent you that thing that they said, no, we're gonna let this movie exist. We know how to make. He said as long as we let our audience know what kind of movie it's going to be, they'll be smart enough to figure it out. So I think those movies will still exist. I think that one. Anything else, I think they'll get reboot. I mean, they'd be smart to reboot the rest of it.
Yeah.
What?
I was just going to say, we were talking about the Laura being in this universe. As much as I like that young girl, I think they wouldn't want to miss the opportunity to bring an adult Laura in.
Well, it's going to take some time. I mean, for these movies to get started made and cohesive into the universe.
Oh, you mean they want that same actress?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's going to take some time anyways. Yeah, a lot of them, the Fox execs want that same actress to be in more movies, but I don't know if that's Marvel's vision.
We'll see.
I just think she's a good actress.
Well, I agree. But I think they would want to jump on that case to have her be in it.
Whatever the case, they're probably not going to be able to. You probably won't see any of these characters for 2 years at least.
Yeah.
Because they would have to get past
that's what
the
I'm
antitrust.
Saying.
They would have to get them worked into their whole thing. And
storyboard it, get it all figured.
They're going to have to revamp their whole plans because they have plans through 2020. So they're going to have to be like, oh, some things are changing, just like what Spider-Man showed.
Yeah.
Like some things are changing. And they kind of push movies around and stuff like that. So we'll see. That is Free Talk. RootsOfTheSwampThing.com, your definitive source for all things Swamp Thing. Holland Files number 2 should be coming out pretty soon. If you got your pre-order in, you should be expecting to see it pretty soon. So visit the world of Swamp Thing at rootsoftheswampthing.com, on Twitter at DC World Swampy, or on Facebook at facebook.com/rootsoftheswampthing. I've never ended it Free Talk that way, but we're going to end like that today. Today we're talking the best series of 2017, that is 17 years after the year 2000, Y2K they call it. We are going to...
How old were you then?
What, in 2000?
Yeah, 13. Are you 15?
No, 50.
50?
Yeah. I'm 67 right now.
Oh, nice.
We're talking about the best series of the year. We had some people call in. Also, we had some people write in. Let me see people who wrote in first, just so we can get that here. If you go to YouTube, the Bagging and Boarding Bad Boy, Mark said to us, Kill or Be Killed takes the cake. Also, Shirtless Bear Fighter was awesome too, he says. So those are his 2 picks. You guys read Shirtless Bear Fighter. Is that over? Is that a mini?
It's over. There's only 5 issues.
5-issue mini. And then Kill or Be Killed saw it on going, hey, they announced a movie.
Yeah.
By the John Wick director, which is a good pairing. I don't know if it's going to work as a movie, though. We'll see, though. We'll talk about it more later.
Yeah, the story's not even done yet, so I can't tell if it's going to work or not.
Here is our first voicemail.
Hey, Wednesday Comics, it's David giving you a call here. Congratulations on another year. You guys are killing it. Speaking of killing it, my pick of book for the year has got to be Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker, art by Sean Phillips, colors by Betty Breitweiser. I love this book. It's so great. It's so well written. The art is amazing. And the colors in this book, you wouldn't call it colorful, but there is a specific and deliberate color scheme in every issue, and I just love it. The main character's great. He's crazy and just awesome and ridiculous, but if you're not getting this book, highly recommend it. Like I said, guys, you're doing a great job. Love the show. I don't have a catchphrase, so just buy.
That's friend of the show, David Hoover. Jesus, what was that noise? Pick Kill or Be Killed. That's the second pick for Kill or Be Killed. We'll see how the rest of it shakes out. Definitely a good book, like we said, making it into a movie. What do you think, Alex? Movie? Would you go TV series, movie?
I think I'd actually do TV series. I
prefer TV series.
I think you're missing out if you're going to make it one movie, because then you're going to make. I know you get to make multiple movies, but it makes more sense to do an hour and a half or an hour long episode. And watch Dylan build into what he's doing.
The only thing is those cliffhangers will be enough to keep people waiting for that time it makes to get the other movie, but a TV show would be way better.
Or even if you did like what Sin City did, where you had multiple quote unquote episodes or actual books in the movie. So you've seen it build into
That was David Hoover's pick. We're going to move on now to some guy who I don't like right now because he stole a belt from me.
That was one trigger.
Really? I'm pretty sure he's me and Alex's favorite person in the world right now.
That
By the way, 605-215-1849. Any information you have regarding the bell?
Here, ring it right here. Oh, there's no bell.
It is
No bell.
MIA. You know me and that bell.
you guys should see their Instagram.
We had a lot
There's
of good
pictures
times together. And
best wingman we ever had. You ever had.
every time we touched, it was electric. And now it's gone. So I don't know what to do.
Every time you touch me and Alex,
that's why
last into a bucket.
That's why last week I couldn't remember Chris Samney. I didn't hit the fucking bell. That
So
bell.
remind you?
That's how I remember shit. I hit the bell. Boom. It's like
Oh,
it's
so
like
if you were a fan of Chris Sammy, you need a bell to remember.
what's
his
the dog's name? The bell makes him salivate. Pavlov.
Pavlov's dog. Yeah.
That's like that. I hit that Chris Samney.
To be fair, that's not the name of the dog. Was not Pavlov.
Hey, Pavlov's dog, come here. No, it doesn't work out.
Oh, but it's
The scientist's name was.
the dog's name was Rufus, right?
You know it. Yep.
So I would hit that bell and I'd be Chris Samney. Chris Samney. I forgot now. I don't know. He's gone out of my life.
Wow.
Anyways, here you go. Here's
For Sammy, no, that's an absolute lie.
Here we go.
If you listen to the show.
And in at the wire, it's Sergeant America. Boom! I just want to let you guys know this year, I don't know. I wasn't feeling a whole lot of books, but I do got to say, Wildstorm for the ongoing series has definitely been the best. Solid art, crazy story. But then when it comes to minis, Shirtless Bear Fighter, I think it just won this year. Shirtless Bear Fighter. That's all I got to say. I'm keeping it short and sweet. Catchphrase.
For me, Sergeant America said that for him, there wasn't a lot coming out this year. It was hard for me to pick this list. I could easily have done a top 15 and felt okay with all of them. Maybe top 12. But like when I was cutting down this list, I was like, what about this book? What about this book? What about this book? And there's some books that for me, I had to take off the list just because I was like, not this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I literally just told Garrett I just thought of my fifth book that's on my list. So that's how long it has taken.
Alex rolled in today and said,
5.
guys, I have my top 4 out of the 5. But I mean, it was hard for me. I wrote down so much and cut out so much, and I would sit there and stare at being like, is that book worth it? Like for me to put it on the top 5? Or for me, is it like, I really enjoy that book, but for me, it's not top 5. Like if I only could get 5 books, that's kind of where I have to be like, would I miss this book?
That's what the cut was, is like, what are the 5 books that if I'm not reading, if I wasn't getting them now, I would be upset that I dropped those books.
Yeah.
I'm a little loose on those rules.
I know you are. You got
like,
Injustice.
I know, because
Because then you know that Superman and Injustice would be on there, and they're not. I'll tell you that now. Superman and Injustice are not on my
Holy
top 5.
shit. To be fair, my mind is blown, because that was what my number 5 was going to be.
Right,
was
but
Injustice.
I'm thinking consistent quality of this last year for being a series. So that's where I'm being loose in my own rules that I usually stick to.
We'll talk about your rules when you bring up the books. I don't understand your ruling, though.
To be fair.
I just told you, no,
fair, I've
it's
seen
the
Marvin's
best series of
ruling, too.
2017, right?
He's got plenty of...
So if it's not the best series of 2017, should it not be on my best series list?
But it's our list, so
I assumed it was just
your-
best
I know.
series.
top 5.
Huh?
I thought it was best series.
That's what it
This
is.
isn't 2017, right? Because I already did that show.
Well, it's the best series that have taken place in
Well,
2017.
duh, I have to still be getting it right.
Yeah, it has to be, we said, at least an
Yeah.
arc in 2017. So can't play. Can't. Oh, actually, I would allow Black Monday Murders because 2 issues came out, but they were also like 60 pages.
No, they're not. It's not on my list.
I know. It's not on my list either.
I did do.
I couldn't do it.
Almost came out monthly. If it took a break, I understood.
I
but-
couldn't do that book knowing that other books came out every single month.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't reward you for that, you Jonathan Hickman.
You, John.
Where's the book at? It was supposed to come out this week. Is it in my hand?
I'm still waiting for Frontier #1 to come out.
Never going to happen.
That's never going to happen. I hope to see some news from Jonathan Hickman that he's joined DC or has a new book coming out or is like doing a TV show or something like that. Because I don't know what you're doing. Like, none of your books are coming out.
Maybe it's Tom Coker slowing him down.
No, because East to West is delayed.
Oh, I suppose.
This book,
not- it's not
Frontier's not
just-
even coming out, and he's writing and drawing that himself.
There was previews so like all over the place for that
Yeah.
book. It never came out.
And I know he's notorious slow. It's not up there anymore. Manhattan Projects for the longest time, but it was never this slow where 2 issues came out a year.
Yeah.
It was always like, hey, I missed a month, I missed 2 months. And I can forgive that. But like East to West, like what, 2 issues again? 3?
I think it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, even still, it's like,
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll move on to the next one. Good pick there, Shirtless Bear Fighter. I still got to catch up with that. It is on Hoopla, so if you got access to Hoopla and your library allows you to rent comics, go ahead and pick that up. Our library upgraded recently, 9 comics at a time. You know what I say about that? Keep turning those pages.
Keep swiping the screen.
Hey, Wednesday Comics listeners, this is Dave McElroy from Rainbow Comics, Cards, and Collectibles with locations in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and everywhere on the World Wide Web at rainbowcomicsandcards.com. My 2017 comic book series of the year, I am going to go with Super Sons. It's had some ups and downs. And actually, that's probably, I would guess, if I had to rank them, probably my number 3 or 4 pick. Then I'm going to go with Superman, then Batman, and I got to pick an indie, so I am going to go with God Country from Donny Cates. That is it, folks. 2017 was a great year for comics, and 2018 is looking awesome. Talk to you later.
Can I say thank you? That's Dave from Rainbow Comics and Cards. Visit them on rainbowcomicsandcards.com. That's Dave. He picked 5 picks there.
The one thing for me is that he brings up a book that never crossed my mind.
Can I guess what it is? Because
Yes.
I was just about to say I forgot about it until you sent in that voicemail. God Country?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about it. It was good.
It's good, but
I caught up with
it's
it
not
late.
something that hangs with me right now.
I caught up with it late. It is good. And actually, the last issue? Last issue was really, really good, I thought. But it's also, I like those Donny Cates series, but I wish they were more than 5. Like, the pacing's a little off for me. I wish they were like a good 7, 8, and had time to like breathe, because I felt like that world he was developing in that book, we only saw a little bit of. So, while great, didn't really make a lasting impression.
I think the thing for me is that when you read the not even intro into the book, but just the idea of the book, I assumed this was going to be like a 10-issue run, if not an ongoing book on whatever the grandfather's name was with his sword Valifax, doing things around the world.
What was his name? Jimmy?
It might have been James or
Old Jim?
Bucky or something like that. James Buchanan. No, that's Bucky Barnes. I don't know. I don't remember what his name was. I don't care. Thomas is Tom. No, I don't remember.
But good picks. I mean, if somebody asked me about Gun Country, I'm like, yeah, try it out. It's good. I like the art a lot. The art was really what I came around with.
Donny Cates. I like that
Jeff
book.
Shaw.
That book is good. But it actually makes me interested to see how Thanos is going to be. If it's going to be an ongoing, if it is going to be something, I don't know, something that just.
That's the thing too. Like, I like that book so much that when he announced that team is coming to Thanos, it made me pick up Thanos.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough for me to be like, that's top 5 of the year. I really did like it though. Like, I keep saying that in the top 12 or 15 would have been in there, but maybe not top 5.
I think if I was doing a mini, yes, it would be on the top of that mini list.
Oh, hey, good segue. Go ahead and I'll keep talking. But you just reminded me that I forgot that we had our best single issues of the year that I wrote down.
Oh. Okay. Well,
Is that for next? No,
that's for tonight.
It was, but it's on
a-
that phone. I don't have access to it. So, well, we can.
Oh, we were supposed to do it tonight?
Well, I was just going to.
We can do it tomorrow. We can do it next week.
We'll do it next
when
week.
we're drunk.
Yeah, next week, because I got locked.
I've got a crap ton of books on here anyway that I need to cut down.
So we're not doing an actual segment for our top.
No,
5
we're just going
issues.
to talk about some issues. We'll talk about it next week. That way I can remember to save it on Google Docs instead of my notes on my phone. Yeah, minis. I think, yeah, you're right.
And say, and a mini in itself is great.
Do you consider Black Hammer a mini? Is that a full ongoing?
I call it a
No.
maxi.
What was it? How many issues? 14.
Yeah.
14, yeah. If it's more than 12, I think that's not a mini. Because usually 12 is considered a maxi, so more than 12, we're going
But to be fair, I know we were all surprised that book actually ended at 13.
We didn't even know when that issue came out. We were like, all right, here we go.
This is good.
Where are we going to
Oh.
go for the next part when they come back from this break? He's like,
Seeing the villains.
I don't think that was
book,
enough
baby.
of a cliffhanger
That's
for
the book,
a volume
baby.
1.
you know, when you think about it going back, it makes sense, but you're right. It wasn't enough for me to be like, well, that's the end of the book.
Yeah.
It was enough for me to be like, that's the end of this volume. Here comes volume 2.
Yep.
Which I guess it is kind of. But
Yeah. It's like, oh, wait, there is one yet.
it is kind of, but also Jeff Lemire in that article was kind of like, oh, I decided to do number 2. So for a while, that was the end.
Yep.
Until he's like, I got an idea for number 2.
I think that's one of those things that I want there to be in number 2 because I'm not satisfied with what I got for an ending.
Jeff Lemire, number 1 writer for me, number 1 writer for Alex. Gary, he was on your list though, right?
No, he wasn't.
Wow.
Easy on there for the art for me. It's so good.
Number 1 with Tom Taylor, right?
Tom Taylor.
TTT2. They call that Judgment Day. SuperCon 2018, The Return of the Con, September 28th, 29th, and 30th. Featuring guests like Tony Fleece, Shay Fontana, Science Steve, and brought to you by Wednesday Comics, Phil Hester. Phil Hester is an Eisner Award-winning comic book artist. Phil is from Iowa. He's known for his runs on Nightwing, The Flash, Season 0, Teen Titans, and many more. He's currently drawing Batman Beyond for DC and Shipwreck for Aftershock. Wednesday Comics is proud to present Phil Hester at SuperCon. Go to supercon.com for more information. Now you're going to go tell you about our top 5 series of 2017. Like I said, the criteria for this was any series that had an arc in 2017. What do you think that is? You can decide. So minis or ongoings were included. You can do whatever you want as long as it had a consistent enough issues of this year where you could be like, yes, that was good this year. Not like
so
one issue.
Can be like, yes.
It wasn't like Southern Masters had what, like 2 issues? I can't be like, Southern Masters, you killed it, buddy. Those 2 issues, because it's not fair to somebody who's come up with 12 issues to say you killed it on 2 versus 12. I think, at least in my mind.
There's nothing to go off of. And I tell you what, I've read those 2 issues. Couldn't tell you a fucking thing that happened in those books.
You like the monkey.
I did. Actually, I just like the covers most of the time.
Yeah, the cover's really good. The art's really good. No, we like those issues. We've reviewed on the show. I think it's just that they haven't come out in a while.
Well, I know, but I can't remember what they were.
That's what I mean. But top 5 series of 2017. You know what? Let's start with Alex because you started and I started the other one, so you haven't started yet so far.
So my number 5 is Department H. Ooh. Written and art by Matt Kent.
You forgot about Department H, you fuck. Oh my god.
And I literally just told somebody at work they should read Department H. Okay.
Sergeant America, give us our bell back.
I want to point out, Marvin.
Hey, no, but it works because it wouldn't be in my top 5.
You're dumb shit.
But it would be in that like top 10. But you go ahead.
So anyway,
I just laughed because I was like, once again.
I'm going to say, hopefully at least some of these other books are on my list or on your list.
Can I say that's also my 5?
Is that your number 5?
Yeah, it's my number 5.
I love, at first when I got this book, I was like, oh man, I'm not a big fan of this art. It's kind of, it's different than what I'm used to.
It's watercolors. It's painted, not very definitive shapes.
Yeah,
to an extent.
Yeah. And when Marvin tells me, well, he actually went to art school. He is a good artist, and this is by choice. He's making it look like this. It's like, you know what? Actually, I respect that. It is really good. And I tell you what, there are some issues. I read this book, and I am actually scared.
I'm scared of being underwater.
Underwater.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Was it? I don't even know what the phobia is, but I have it when I read this book.
Lassophobia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This book is scary. And for a guy who can't swim well, and I am actually afraid of marine animals, I'm scared reading this.
Can I say, going back to what you said about his art, I think when you read anything by Matt Kent, if he does the art, you have to understand that his art isn't meant to look real. And I think that maybe that was the thing, which is like people look weird. It's more to convey a mood. Like the way that people look and stuff like that, it's really like an emotional, like you can tell emotion on their face. And it's really more to set the mood, how everything looks, rather than, oh, that looks 100% accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like somebody like Michael Lark, you're like, oh, that looks real. And that's kind of where or even like Alex Ross, you look at it and go, man, that looks so real. And yeah, you can look at it and appreciate that. But also like Matt Kent is not interested in doing something like Alex Ross does. He's interested in being like, especially with the watercolors, being like you said, how can I make this scary? How can I make this in a way? I know you guys, when we talked about witches, and Jock's idea for that was to make it hard to see what's going on. Where in Matt Kent, you can see what's going on. It's just what you see is what's scary because, or like what you can't see, but not like you can't see it because the art's kind of obstructing it. But like that one scene where they're stuck in that thing and all around this darkness.
Yeah.
That is the scariest panel. Like I remember that panel. Well, that was like way long time ago.
That was, I think, like issue 8. That is something that still, when I think about this book, comes to mind.
I would love that
last page.
Yeah, and I would frame that.
Yep.
You know, and it's very rare in comics to get like an actual whodunit that can last. We just had issue 21 come out, which that cover, by the way, looks so good. Issue 21 with the it's like the magazine.
Is that Q?
That's the secrets from Department 8. The one that just came out this week.
One that just came out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking number 20 with Q on the cover with bloody knuckles.
No.
You're right.
But it's, I mean, not to say that whodunits don't happen.
But can you say,
can
though,
they pull it off? Like,
how many issues are we in? 21?
21. We have...
Can you say, though, like...
3 left?
Have you ever watched any kind of mystery when you're by 21 where you're like, I don't know who did it?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many possibilities that you're like, everybody has a motive.
The person I've thought who it was has changed so many times.
Because if people have motives, and you're like, maybe that's the reason why he died. Maybe that's the reason why he died. And then you eventually learn that her dad wasn't the greatest person. So it's like, maybe he deserved to die. Like, you change your perspective on the murder in so many ways and who you think actually is the murderer, that by 21, you get so concerned about switching. Like you said, you switch between each issue, being like, that's got to be the reason. That's got to be a reason that you can tell for her, it's very hard to figure out because she's getting information too. And she's like, maybe that's it. And plus all the clues are washed away. Like, for her, it's very difficult. And at a point where 21 issues in, and there's 4 more, right?
Yeah, I think it's 25, right?
By the time
it was 24 levels.
Oh, yeah, it's 24. There's 3 left.
Okay, so there's 3 left.
By the time we get to that, I don't even know who to expect.
I'm excited for when we actually finish this book. It could be the
creature from the Black Lagoon.
But if it is not Harry, but his friend Roger.
Yeah.
If it's Roger, then I was right at the beginning.
My excitement for this book is that when we get to the end, and Matt Kind has said that there's a evidence in every issue. I can't wait till I find out it is Roger, and I'm going, holy shit.
It'd be fun to reread that series and see how
and then to go, oh, I see. Okay, so that's where he's, because I'm sure he's got to spell it out to you at some point in time.
Yeah.
So then
Didn't he say in the last back matter that he does like to write ahead so much that you can go back? Like, that's the reason why he can plant everything in issues, because he knows the whole story, and so that way he can tell a full story that feels real and realized, because he knows beginning and end, and you can fill in the middle without writing as you go along.
Yep.
So it would be good. You have to go back and be like, what was this? Oh, that's what that means. Yep. Oh, that's what that means. Kind of when you, spoilers, when you go back and watch something like Sixth Sense, and you're like, oh, like, it makes more sense when he goes to dinner and she ignores him 100% and takes the check away from him, like, because she can't see him. He's dead.
Yeah.
What?
What's up?
Spoilers?
Bruce Willis is dead?
Shyamalan. Let me pull up my list here, and we'll go. You have something more to say?
No.
Department H, that's your pick. That's a good pick. Like I said, top 10 worthy for me. Now I'm going to pull up my list and watch.
That was your number 5?
I was
making sure it was your number.
I'm going to pull up my list here, and I bet you I think it's going to be on this list, because that's how great my memory is.
I bet it's going to be like Chris Samney.
Nope, not
Chris Samney. Oh, shit.
Oh, you're right. All it says on here is Chris Samney. Chris Samney's books.
1 through 5.
My number 5 is a book from Marvel.
Is it honorable mention?
Build up. I'm like,
you
whoa.
say Chris Samney, and then you made me think that I forgot Black Widow, but Black Widow was 2016.
I thought it ended in 20.
It did. There's like 1 issue, right?
Okay.
Like, it ended January or something like that, February. So. My number 5 is a series from Marvel. It's called Hawkeye, from Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero and some other artists sometimes. Story of Kate Bishop, like when it first started too, that's something that, you know, from Matt Fraction's run, that was somebody who I was interested in from Young Avengers. I've liked Kate from the very beginning, the first issues that came out a long, long time ago, and then also when it came to Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvith's arcs, I liked her there too. So like, I've been following Kate for a while. So for somebody to be like, oh, this is going to be Kate's series, somebody brand new who's never written her before, for me to pick it up and be like, oh yeah, that's Kate. You know what I mean? To keep, and also I believe that Kelly Thompson's version of Kate is probably the definitive version of Kate. Like, when I read her words and read the way she reacts to things, I'm always like, yeah, that's the way Kate would react.
I agree.
It's never a point where I'm like, oh, that's written. It's a little bit like that in Hawkeye. I feel like Matt Fraction will be like, oh, that's Matt Fraction writing. Not so much. Actually, it's pretty great. Same thing with Kieran. Every once in a while, I would see, because he's really into music, they would make like a music reference, and I'd be like, oh, that's Kieran. But for Kelly, I mean, it's because I don't know that much about Kelly, but a lot of Kelly's, at least for Kate, I'm like, no, that's Kate 100%. And the way she, go ahead.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish the thing. I'm just
when reacting. You see, even when you go back to Leonardo Romero's art, like a lot of things when she gets in situations and when she does her Hawkeye vision, which makes sense 100%. Like, how is she of course she has great vision if she's a marksman, like an expert marksman. Of course she's going to notice things that people don't notice. And in these situations, it's humorous, but also informative, but also like for art wise, it's pretty amazing to look at sometimes. And it's a very fun book. And me and Alex were talking about this the other night. It's a very fun book that when we talked about on the show, I was like, God, it's really fun. and I feel like I'm not selling. You know what I mean? I'm telling you.
It's hard to without like spoiling the story or like
That's what I feel like.
Or you're gonna do like every trailer or movie where you say all the good jokes, and when you read it, you're like, well, what's
but
left?
it's easy to. It's sorry.
Well, I think I've gotten past that point on the show. Everyone knows we're going to spoil stuff.
Well, I know.
No, it's not that necessarily, but it's hard to convey saying this is fun because it's fun for me, but I'll say it's fun. Your definition of fun is different for everybody. So, like,
To be
you would
fair,
have to
I'm
read
a
it.
stick in the mud. So
You would have
if I think it's fun, it must be fun.
Yeah, Alex is the one in movie theaters
is 100%
when everybody
true.
laughs. Like he's the one that's just like,
That's 100% true. I
Not that
guarantee
funny.
you this guy wouldn't laugh at Last Jedi at all. And we were saying it's
Yeah.
pretty funny. I just thought in my back of my head when he said, I'll watch it on Netflix, I go, you won't laugh.
I even made that joke to you guys on the show going, I won't laugh at this stuff. That you guys think, oh my God, that is funny.
I've watched comedies with Alex before. Me and my wife watched a movie with Alex one time. And me and my wife were dying. Alex, stone face. So that tells you who he is.
My wife and I were in mass in church one day, actually last Sunday, and our priest talks about some people being optimists, other people being pessimists. I turned to my wife and I go, what am I? She goes, you're a pessimist. All right, that's probably true.
But on the show, we if somebody acts dumb, you're there 100%.
I'll tell you.
But anyways, the Hawkeye, like when I like reading this series, like I never get an issue, and that I think that's how I gauge at least. When I get an issue, I see it and I'm almost like, okay, I have to read that one. Hawkeye, I get the issues and I'm like, oh great, I get to read that one. Like it's like a privilege to me to be able to read one of those issues. And then when I see it on the list coming out, I was like, oh yes, Hawkeye's coming out again.
it's a really fresh book. I mean, it is so good.
I look forward to it every time. It had 14 issues in, right?
Yeah.
And it hasn't died down yet.
13 just came out.
Is it 13? Okay, sorry.
And now we're going
Forgive
into
me.
this new kind of world where Clint's coming back. And so, like, it can very well go down a wrong path. But
Did you guys read 13?
I haven't read 13 yet.
I haven't read
I wouldn't be worried.
I haven't read
okay.
anything in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I
now,
really-
so now my stack is huge.
Kelly Thompson was on my top 5 list. I think she's somebody who I'm really looking forward to reading. Like, so much so that a series is coming out called Gambit and Rogue.
Yeah.
I like Rogue, but I wouldn't jump on a Rogue book. I hate Gambit. So like, but her writing's enough to me for me to be like, I think I'm going to check that.
I think my problem is that actually growing up, I loved Gambit because I thought, dude, that guy is so suave with the ladies, except for Rogue. But I love Rogue. Rogue is honestly one of my favorites. And if they do it the right way, where she's got Warbird powers and is invulnerable and super strong and all that jazz, I'm sold. I will get that book. Actually, Hawkeye was on on my list. I was like, God, I really want to put this book on my list, but she was already on my best 2017 new series. I was like, no, I don't want
That
that.
doesn't matter.
I know, but in my head, it kind of mattered
No. Hey, here's the thing.
because I actually
It
wanted to
went
bring
back and forth on my list too.
because I wanted to bring up books that we haven't talked about because
it's right underneath
I've got some surprises on this list.
the back right leg. Yeah, that was a book that was on my list, and then but like, here's the thing about that kind of book. When you make lists like this, at least for me, I'm always like, okay, what book though like elicited emotion to
I
me
hope
that
you lose that cap again.
what book for me elicited an emotion of feeling excited, like if something's suspenseful.
Yeah.
What kind of book elicits the most for me that makes me sad? And like for some reason, like for me, those I'm like, okay, that's a good movie, that's a good book if it has those kind of emotions. But and I think a lot of people do this. If something makes you laugh, people are always quick to be like, oh, it's just a comedy. Oh, it's just fun. But that's a hard emotion to get out of somebody. Mm-hmm. That's a hard thing to make somebody laugh and be like, okay, tell me more. Like, I'm going to keep coming back to you. And so I wanted to put on this list to be like, for me, that book's fun. Out of any of these books, we're going to get to some heavy stuff later, at least for me. But for me, that's fun comics is Hawkeye. And that's the reason why it's on the list.
Alex, you're number 4.
You're number 4. Oh, no, you said you're 4.
Yeah,
You said you're 5, right?
His 5 is
Okay.
Department H. Hey, let me look because I actually don't remember.
How many sips have you had there, Marvin?
Okay. So my number 4 is hashtag the Batman. Tom King, depending on which arc he's doing, multiple artists.
Now I get Marvin's quote. Oh, God.
So I chose the Batman. This is one of those books that previous to issue 20, I was kind of like, I'm not digging this book. This isn't what I want.
But for the year of 2017.
But in all honesty, during 2017, Tom King has been nailing this book. And I tell you what, Finch, is it Janin, however you want to say his name?
Haneen.
Jones, I tell you what,
guys.
at least these last almost 10 issues, every issue is gold for me.
Hey, buddy, give it up, Jordy Belair.
And Jordy Belair, you are honestly probably my favorite colorist. Because no matter what book she's on, she does Hawkeye, she does Batman, she does
There's
her own
people
book.
who are as good, but there aren't more people doing as much work as good as she is.
And
as much different work.
I would say that's the thing is you see from Batman to Hawkeye how different it is. She does her own coloring. I think she colors her own book in Redlands, right? Yes. And so it's just this. She can do anything. She should run for president. That's how good she is. Anyway, so back to Batman.
Are you waiting for a reaction from that pun?
Kind of. I wanted to see if he paid attention. I want to see if he was thinking Chris Samney. Dude, I tell you what, Chris Samney is never going to get old. Anyway, these last couple issues of Batman have just been my favorite.
Hey, man, I'm just letting you talk. I guess you said I interrupted you last week, so continue.
To be fair, you interrupt me all the time. I don't know what to even say about this book other than the fact I've really enjoyed it. And actually, there are some issues that have actually touched me deeply. Like the rules of engagement, not inappropriately. Don't worry.
What the hell, man? I'm just trying to listen to your story.
You're pulling the same shit I pull on you.
You like looked at me with big eyes. Like I was like, "Whoa, bro, get your head out of the gutter. It's your series."
But I tell you, like rules of engagement, I felt was actually heartfelt. It was something that, as a married man, I'm like, yeah, I understand this, and I see these characters' love for each other. The Kite Man stuff in Riddles and Jokes, the actually outcome and conclusion of Riddles and Jokes, I thought was great.
War of Jokes and Riddles.
What did I say? Well, I'm just calling it Riddles and Jokes. Who gives a shit? You know what kind of war that really was? Movie. Batman had very little to do with anything.
Batman almost killed a guy.
Couldn't stop anybody.
Almost killed somebody.
And you know what makes Joker laugh? Getting stabbed in the fucking hand.
So then I can't say the last 10 issues have been great because that war one was a little rough.
But I'm including like the Kite Man parts I thought were really good.
Right.
And once you get to the end of it and you find out Batman was willing to cross that line to kill Riddler, you're like, holy shit. Shit just got real. I just touched it with my chin. And one of the best, well, we'll get to the best issues later, but so Batman, number 4.
My number 4 is a book that for a while was good, consistently good, but I'd say over the last 12 months has really done some of its best work, is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I would say Fiona Apples and Staples.
I said Faples.
Is it really a book that I don't even want to say coming to its own because I feel like from the beginning it's been its own thing and knew where it was going. But in the last 10 issues, it really has drilled down on the family aspects of that book and to a point where, like, and maybe it's just because over the last, 12 months, I had a son. And so, that book means more to me now because he has a daughter and they're trying to raise a daughter while also being in a war zone. But in at least the last 10 issues, a lot of the things that they touched on in that book have really hit well. Like, I think a lot of times they brought up stuff in that book, for me at least, and I'd be like, oh, I know what they're trying to talk about. And it'd be like, oh, that's pretty good. But the last 10 issues, the emotion in the last 10 issues, ever since this war, that one issue happened. What was the issue? There was an event war book. You remember? No? Oh, you read it all together. That's probably why. They made a big deal about it being Saga's first event. It had the cover was a fold out thing.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
Well, anyways, so we get to the specific issues, especially the abortion issue. That issue was
issue 46 sounds good.
Very well told, a very different perspective. Not only instead of being is abortion bad or good, it's how does it affect his daughter at this time? Because at that time she could see her future, her brother's ghost. So instead of being oh, is the kid alive? And that one's he is alive. He's a ghost right now, and he goes away once they have the abortion. But she needs to have it because she won't be able to survive unless she does. So,
yep. Okay.
Or we get the issue where we met this family for a while of what were they?
They look like
Ducks?
meerkats.
Yeah, meerkats. And for a while you don't know if they're good or bad. They really don't trust them. And then you find the planet's going to blow up. And my favorite,
I don't remember who his name is.
Petrie. Yeah, I think it's Petrie.
Might be. I know it starts with a P.
One of the Pulitzer Prize, Fiona Staples kills it in that issue. We get Petrie, who's yelling out for help and got left behind. And the planet he falls.
It's a black hole baby or baby black hole or something that
gets
sucks
sucked
him
into
in.
the black hole. And then you get 5 of him just being like calling for help. And then you get 5 issues of just black. And you just have to sit there being. And I don't think there's even letter pages in that issue.
I think so.
It's just like 5 issues of black and it's done. Where normally he has letter pages. Like, that's how much Brian K. Vaughan knows how to tell a story. That he's like, this issue I can't put letter pages in. It's going to ruin the moment.
Well,
so just cut out to black and that's it.
And that's the nice thing about what this book does is that he lets a moment happen.
Yes.
And she lets a moment happen.
And she can make a moment happen.
Yeah.
Like, just based on art alone, I can be like that scene where she's sitting next to her brother and they're having the abortion. And like we talked about, I think last week, where she's looking forward to telling him that story, but yet on her face you can see she's having a hard time. Be like, she knows like he's not going to be there when she turns around, and like those small moments are reason why like Fiona Staples on my list last week was like, this is the Fiona Staples top 5 list for me at least, because since that book's coming out, I don't think I've been a better consistent artist on a book than Fiona Staples for me.
I think you and I have discussed that if she was to leave Brian K. Vaughan, in all honesty, love his writing.
I love him too.
But if he left the book, I could probably get past it. Fiona Staples is literally, and no pun intended, is the staple of this book. I said no pun intended.
Yeah. I mean, like you're right. Brian K. Vaughan is awesome in the book. Him leaving that book would be a huge blow to the book. But Fiona Staples leaving that book would kill that book. That
book would be not unreadable, but would not be nearly as enjoyable. Would not have the spot on art, and her way of telling the story without ever having to put words is just phenomenal.
There's a lot of times too when he just is like, let her go. Like if you read those letter pages, he talked about a lot of times where he's like, hey, I want to make this kind of character. I was thinking about this, but you can figure it out. And she does all of it. And she's like, hey, I'm thinking about this kind of moment. I trust you. Figure out what we can do here.
No.
And not because he's lazy, because he trusts her so much to be like, this is your book too. And a lot of times when there's a lot of writers who take 100% charge of their book and tell the artist like, no, this has to be like this. This specifically has to be. Alan Moore is notorious for that. Like his books are like basically like tablets being like, this is how this book's going to be from panel to panel. Or what's that noise? Do you guys hear that? Oh.
It's probably me clicking my fingers back.
It's a click. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a clicking noise. But
I don't even hear a clicking noise.
I don't hear it, but I know what I'm doing. I'm clicking my fingers.
Could be when you're tapping the table.
And so you have been knocking the table more than time.
That's not that. What was I saying? Oh, but I guarantee you that Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples both worked together to make that book great. It's hard to say without like spoiling the whole book, which I don't want to do, because that is a book that consistently is on a schedule, because this like comes out in trade, where there'll be like 5 or 6 issues then a trade to come out, where you can catch up very easily. Like you caught up this year. And so
not on trades, but
no, I mean, if you weren't crazy, you would have caught up on trades. You can catch up on Hoopla if you want to.
Yeah.
And you can catch up in 1 month if you want to.
I tell you, in all honesty, this book read so well, just fluidly on their own. I mean, together was so good. I mean, I spent a whole day reading 45 issues just because I wanted to know what was going on. And it was fabulous.
Yeah, really great book. It really, in terms of like, that's a book I would say that every issue doesn't need to be action packed. Every issue doesn't need to be something that's like, oh, we need to further this plot and like see where we're going. There's some issues where it's just them, just character stuff. Like that last issue with Gus and his friendo.
Yep.
Nothing really happens that issue.
And Squire.
They go into the woods, and Squire, they go into the woods, and we have a nice character moment, and they come back, and Marco and everybody are back. That's basically what happens in that whole issue, but there's a lot of good character stuff in that moment. Even like somebody who like Gus, who we haven't known for long, but Gus is a real well-rounded character.
We've known Gus since issue at least 12 or 13.
But off and on.
Well, I mean, but even Squire, we barely know anything about. But the nice thing about what Brian K. Vaughan does is he does what I think Jonathan Hickman does. He sets a character in motion, and he doesn't touch on him for 15 issues.
And each character is totally unique. There has been 2 characters where I'm like, who's this guy again? You know, sometimes it happens in comics, especially like I said, Fiona Staples' design work. Especially like Seven to Eternity. Like, how many 7 issues into that book? 9 issues, and I'm like, I don't know who's who. That's what we complain about. Being like, there really should be like a character page.
Yep.
But Saga, I know who everybody is.
Oh yeah,
I know who they are. I know what their motivations are. I know if they're put in a situation in that book, I'm like, okay, I know how they're going to react to that. And I think that really does make for a great book when I can read a book and be like, this is playing out in front of me, rather than being like, who's this guy again? I don't know who he is. Like, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. Not because it's a situation that could come out many different ways. I don't know what's going to happen because I don't know who the hell this guy is. Yeah. I don't care about him because I've been reading about him for 7 issues, but he's still just some guy in a cloak and I don't know who the hell he is. But in Saga, it's like, yeah, that's Gus.
Yep.
Some small character in that book is like one of my favorite characters.
Other than Petrie, who's your favorite?
That Petrie thing. If you were in this room, you would have saw me crying in this corner over here.
To be fair, one of my favorite. Well, you know what? Let's let Garrett talk. I want to hear your number 4.
My number 4 is Kill or Be Killed by Edward Baker. It's probably a little lower on my list than some other people. But only for the fact that there's some other books that obviously I enjoyed more.
Injustice.
I told you that's not on my list. Sure. But this is a great story. This is
his Injustice list.
Oh, I see.
Whatever. Great book about crime. I mean, it's not criminal, but it's by the same team that does that book. Ed Brubaker knows how to tell this story in such a way that like you can get inside the character's head. Dylan, he's very well. At first, he's unmotivated, an unmotivated killer, except for the fact that he wants to live. He's so delirious that he thinks that a demon's convincing him to kill people to save his own life, to the point where he doesn't really know if the demon's real or not in his head, and he just kills out of force of habit at some point. He doesn't even feel... He goes from feeling a lot for these characters that he kills to like feeling almost nothing.
Yeah.
Sean Phillips' art, you get that street, kind of look. I mean, it's very, you got your reds as, the theme color throughout the whole thing. There was one issue where Kira's hair was blue for an issue.
She's going through some
and
changes.
Then she was like, go back to red, people. I don't know.
I think it was green too at a point.
Yeah, it might have been different colors, but it's been red primarily.
He was doing that weird arc that I at least didn't
it
care for
shifted
as much.
perspective and everything. I think that this, like, what are we on? Like, probably the 3rd volume of stories coming out. Yeah. I think that this has been the strongest. I mean, we're getting into new territory where Dylan, we went back through his flashbacks. We're getting into new territory. What could potentially seem like the end of this book, even though I'm sure it's going to go past this arc. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I love the colors by Elizabeth Breitweiser. Looks like Betty Breitweiser.
I don't think I can call her Betty for the fact that her page name is Elizabeth.
Yeah. Give her credit where credit's due. Staring at Marvin the whole time. He's like, that's a good nickname.
Nice.
Yeah. Great series. It's going to be made into a movie, is what Marvin brought up. Still wish it was going to be a TV show.
Agreed.
But yeah, I definitely one of the best of the year.
Good series was not on my list. Is not on my list.
Top 10?
It would be on my top 10.
Top 15.
Well, if it's on my top 10, it's still on my top 15. So.
The odds are increasing.
Nothing gets by you. So actually, the reason I wanted to move on to yours is because my number 3 is actually Saga. And I've pretty much already said everything I can about this book, other than the fact that if you're not reading this book, I think you are missing out. It's not like a Deadly Class thing where I think you're missing out. It's just something that...
But there's no way I could find a lot for $75 to give me all the issues.
That is true.
I could do trades.
Do trade.
Do the hardcover.
The hardcovers, which
awesome.
come out with like 36 issues, that's the way to go if you're going to.
Isn't there only 2 of those out right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's
and it gets you up to 36, I think.
It'll catch you up to like 4 issues.
Because I think it's 18.
There's like 4 more
What's
issues.
the most recent issue?
48.
Oh, it's ending?
No, that's the most recent issue.
Okay. Gotcha.
Literally the question you asked.
No, I know, but you said there's only 4 more issues. What you said?
No,
I said
he's 4
issues past the
where it's currently at. Okay.
So,
yeah, that's a book like you said. I think you really are missing out, especially in the if we're going to talk like best comics of 2017, and that's not one that you're reading. and not even in terms of. I think that's a book you can give to anybody. It is a little adult, but like if you're like, oh, I don't like sci-fi, I don't like fantasy. It's like, well, there's some really good family moments in there. There is some really good action in there too.
There's good, but the things that stick with me, it's like, and it's issues that I'm sure I'll bring up again later. There have been issues that are just, they're so good, and it's not because they're action packed. It's because something has happened to someone. What was? Oh,
and they talk about real life things.
Abby,
I forget. I'm not good with names. What do you ask me?
I know.
You could ask the wall and get the same answer. There's some real world things that they talk about in that book, and they talk about it well. You know what? Like they could really bring up some shit on that book, and you'd be like, oh, here we go. Here's the story. Here's the, like I said, about abortion. Yep. Here's we're going to have an issue about abortion, but it's not, hey, is it wrong or right? It's saying how do people are affected by it. And we get issues also where there's issue with, child prostitution, and you're like, it's not about like, well, I guess they're saying it's bad, but I mean,
but they aren't. But
it's like, how is it affecting these kids? You spoilers, you live with that kid for a while and like see how she is, and also how does it affect the person who saved her and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of good things in the, like, he's a bounty hunter. Is he good or bad? And I think most of those characters in the book aren't good or bad. A lot of the characters in this book are like, they're all motivated by something else. Yeah.
Well, they're all living a life, and that's the whole big thing. And this is one of those books that you get attached to a character and they kill him.
That is the thing also. Like if you don't want to read a book that's like going to constantly make you, but it's going to make you feel joy, but it's also going to make you feel heartache. It's also going to make you feel like, wow, this is like really dark. And there's some parts also that are really fucking hilarious. So like, it's a book that really tackles all your emotions. And so, if you're going to read this book, it's going to be a book that it's not going to be like, I like Hawkeye, but like that's fun comics.
Yeah.
This here is like, I'm reading this and I know, hey, this issue, I might be like, man, it's hilarious. I might be like, wow, like they really touched on some real world stuff. And now I'm thinking about what I think about this. Or I could be like that issue of Petrie, Tears in the Corner.
Oh, I tell you, this is one of those books, like you said, for Hawkeye. When I read how they speak to each other, it's not reading. It's just, these are the characters.
This is definitely, especially the world building in this book. This is definitely done to a point where those worlds live. Like,
yep. I mean, when we're sitting here talking about the book, the world is still going on.
And I've had a complaint with Walking Dead recently how they switched between.
Yeah.
In Saga, they switch a lot between. Actually, there's more issues about a specific area, and then they move on. But they do it a lot. But I'm never like, oh, what was going on here again? I'm always like, oh, okay, we're here again. Because that's how realized those worlds and characters are, that when I get there, I go, okay, I remember this part. I think maybe that's also an issue with Walking Dead. Like, especially now, there's a lot of people being like, who's this guy again? Just like I was saying, like, but these characters I know, and when they introduce somebody new, it doesn't take that long for me to be like, I don't know who this person is. Great series, number 3, number 4, Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. Those deluxe editions, there's 2, right?
Yes.
I would say if you're going to try to catch up, pick up those. They're cheap too. They're not like expensive.
They're like $30, I think.
Yeah, you would spend more trying to catch up on trades or issues. So this guy knows. My number 3 is Batman by Tom King, David Finch, Clayman. Who else was it?
Mikel Hanin,
and Joel Jones. I feel like there's another person in there.
There might be.
Mitch Garetz did an issue, and then we have Lee Weeks also did the annual, and Michael Lark did the annual. That's a book that really, I think I've been more positive on it than you guys for a longer time.
Yep.
But we did talk about that. I'm pretty negative, so.
For you guys, it took a while for you to build up to me like, this is my Batman. For me,
not you.
That's the guy. Ouch. For me, like I said before, like I knew Tom King. I love Tom King. So for me, I kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I thought I was harsher on that first arc just because I was like, this isn't Tom King. Like I knew what I expected from him. And that first arc didn't feel like him. I didn't think it was bad, but I also didn't feel like it was him. And
that
eventually,
feels like a lifetime ago, that first arc.
It does. Well, it's
but I remember hating that
probably
book.
A year and a half ago now, right?
Yeah, but still.
And especially you were saying before that War, Jokes and Riddles, that you didn't like those other issues. I think by the end of it, I was like, oh, this was good. But week to week, I didn't like the way he was telling it. But by the time we got to the end of it, I was like, this all makes sense. And I love this arc. I actually do think that's one that we talked about before. What's better beginning or better ending? By the time we get to that end, and like you said, the Joker, like the joke is that he tries to stab a Riddler, right? Batman, and then Joker gets stabbed instead, stops him, and like the Joker that's being like, "You're just like us," like, and that makes Joker laugh, and I thought that was so perfect to like figure out why Batman's like, "Oh, maybe I am just like them," and like to break him in a way, like because for a while, he's like, "I don't know if I want to be Batman anymore." And we were like, what could make him not want to be Batman? Remember we talked about that. What's going to happen at the end of this issue that's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's the reason. And we were like, is it really going to be something where we can be like, oh, yeah, that would be a reason why you would stop? And for me, at least, at the end of that, I was like, that is definitely a reason for you to be like, am I really a hero or am I more just a menace in this, as much as they are?
I think the thing for me is that I assumed Batman actually did cross the line. And it's actually more impressive.
That's crossing the line, though. Because he would have stabbed.
No, I know he went for the intent, but I'm just saying that. I mean, I guess you're right. He had the intent to kill Riddler.
Yeah.
He just didn't
That's
succeed.
attempted murder, baby.
Joker's not going to go
without get you.
Jail time.
You could say that Batman beating up anybody's attempted murder. So
No.
one bad punch and dead.
But he's not trying to kill them. You don't go to stab someone and be like, you know what, I'm going to cut him open a little bit. No, you're going for the kill.
I think it was a neck or a face shot.
I was going to say, that's what I learned in school. Like, for a knife, that's passion. You're going to kill somebody.
Right.
You're not going up being like, you know what, let's stab you a little bit.
He was trying to kill him with the battering, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He got stabbed by the
Especially like with Joker, I believe it was like by his neck when he stops him like this. So like Batman's going for the Joker, like he was going to kill him.
It was supposed to be a kill shot and just was unsuccessful.
And because Riddler's like, hey man, like you helped me do all this, you helped me kill Kite Man's son, and for Bruce to be compliant in some way to be killing a kid, like that's not going to fly, especially with the way his past has been. To be like, oh, you helped me kill a kid, like that makes sense. Like I would imagine Bruce would be like, no, I can't. Like you made me do this, and like he's as mad at himself as he is at Riddler in that moment, and that's the reason why he's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And now we're at a point now with the Catwoman stuff. I think's been great, and and that's another book when it comes out. I'm like, I feel like every issue that I read now, I was like, this is an issue where it's like I'm reading history in a way. Like
I haven't read
10 out of 10
yet.
issues. These have been amazing issues.
I haven't either with Batman and Superman. No, I haven't read that.
Super Friends?
Yeah.
Where every issue I'm like, it feels like a 10 out of 10, and it feels like this really is something where people are going to be like, hey, do you remember Tom King's Batman? Like that's a definitive run. And it's not an issue or where you think back on it, you're being like, oh, that was really good. Like we're in it right now and it's good. And I think even 10 years from now, I'll be like, that is Tom King's run is the one you have to read.
You know what? I tell you what, you bring up a good point. I'm thinking of Snyder's run. It's like, Snyder's was good, but in all honesty, it doesn't hold as much strength nor story building or world building even for me as what Tom King does.
I feel like Scott is like a blockbuster kind of Batman writer. Like he did great events.
Yeah.
But they were always like events, and they were always like, how does how does Batman, like this whole city, he thought he knew this city and the city goes against him. Yep. How does he survive knowing that the city is what he thought it was? Where Tom King is more about the human, Bruce, the Batman. Wayne, the Batman. Like, who's this guy? Like how crazy do you have to be, and how much does it affect you to put on a cowl and go out there day in and day out and fight these crimes? And sometimes, you're at a point where, like with the Riddler thing, you think you're doing the wrong thing and maybe you're not. And what do? How do you react to it? Do you decide to quit it? And he decides to, hey, maybe I can't do this anymore. But even then, we're at a point now where he's still the Batman, but he's not really been a hero right now. Like he's doing all these things. He's doing a thing for Catwoman. You know what I mean? It's like he's doing some things to try to maybe for himself find a way out. But
it's a way to use the Batman persona without having to be the crime fighter, without having to be the hero. The world knows you as the Batman. So the Batman isn't just a Gotham City character anymore. Batman is a worldly character.
But it is like, it's really a focus, on Batman himself.
It's about Bruce, and maybe that's the thing, is that this book isn't Batman, it's Bruce Wayne.
I would say it's way Bruce Wayne.
Which is great.
Which is good, yeah. You never get that study of just Bruce Wayne as a character.
Because if you think about it, even recently, how can you, if you'd be like, oh, who's the villain in that book? You'd be like, I don't know. It's just Bruce Wayne. It's just Batman trying to figure out some shit. Like him and Catwoman, and especially in that annual. Like it's just him and Catwoman. The flash forward when they're really old. Like, does that feel like a Batman story? It doesn't, but in a way it does. It's more of, like you said, a Bruce Wayne story.
Which is fine. Bruce Wayne is one of those characters that we all just assume he's only Bruce for 1/10 of the time. It's Batman 90% of the time. It's nice to see a Bruce Batman good combination.
And when you read Batman comics, when Bruce Wayne comes out, you're like, oh, I guess he's Bruce in this panel. It really is weird to see being like people focus on Bruce Wayne and tell a book about Bruce Wayne. Even though the book's called Batman, the book's more about like who's that man putting on that cowl every day rather than being like, oh, who's he fighting? Because I don't think it's been about who's fighting for a while. It's more been about, even in that, if you think back to that first arc with Gotham Girl, it was more that he failed them. It wasn't about like, oh, is he going to stop them? It was more like, oh, he failed them and he feels obligated to stop them now.
The only villain that Batman in the series has had has been Bane.
In a way, yeah.
And Psycho Pirate,
Wow.
a little bit.
Gotham guy or whatever. Gotham. Yeah.
But that's the thing.
But that was more about like him trying to reconcile with what he did.
I know, but
he was still a villain. I know it's still a superhero comic.
Yeah.
But I think Tom King also is like, well, it gets Gotham, but the real purpose of this is like, how does he feel that he tried to train them and then they went bad?
Yeah.
How does he feel with Bane? Like he's trying to go get Psycho Pirate to help out Gotham because he feels so bad about it, and he has to put himself on the line like that and almost kill himself to do it because he like feels so guilty about it. He's like, I have to do this. I have to like save her. And then we move on to Warren Joker Riddles, where you see maybe that's like where he had that motivation from because he already failed one time. He's not going to fail again. And that's the Batman that we know, right? He doesn't fail. And he fails maybe twice because does she get cured? I don't remember her getting cured.
Well,
No,
she gets sessions with him.
But she stops using her powers because every time she uses them, she dies. She gets close to dying.
It is a book I look forward to a lot. And I'm really looking forward to 2018. Tom King, he did mention he wants to do 100 issues, and I would be okay with it.
If he can stay on the way he's going right now, he is going to have one of the best runs of Batman.
Yeah, I think just avoid events. Like I think like the Ballad of the Kite Man was great, but all the stuff around that, like the actual Warren Jokes Turtles, like wasn't good till the end.
But I do agree with Marvin that the end of it was the strong point.
Right?
Is to see where what Department H is going to end up at is what you're going to be like. Man, that was a great book.
Right.
I think he did best with what he could do because, like I said, I read an interview with him, and they made him like make that an event, and he really that was something he wrote before he became the Batman writer, and they're like, hey, how about that thing you wrote? Can you mix it in? So maybe that's why he kind of feels disjointed and the storytelling was kind of off because he originally meant it to be present time where then he has to tell it as like Batman telling a story.
Right.
But I think, like you said, at the end.
But it does turn out well. And the way that you finally find out, from issue 24 where he proposes to Selina and then the whatever 7 issues it takes to finish it. It's a good story, and it does make sense that Bruce would tell Selina that I've crossed the line. Yeah, I never did succeed in what I wanted to do.
And he goes, let me ask you again. Do you want to marry me? And she says yes. And then they kiss. That's one of the best pages all year.
Agreed.
Garrett, what's your number 2?
No,
3.
number 3.
Nope. Skip it ahead.
My number 3 is Hawkeye. We've already talked about it a bit.
That's a lot higher on your list than I was expecting.
You know what? I mean, I have to agree with Marvin in a lot of aspects. Every time it gets on my stack, like I anxiously look forward to reading it. I know when I open that cover that I won't be disappointed when I close the back cover. I think that it's one of the freshest comics out there. It didn't need a legacy. It was already, if you were talking about like a reboot or fresh or anything like that, it already did that when it started at issue 1.
Did it get a legacy?
13 is the first issue of Legacy. Okay. Yeah.
It didn't really reboot or anything. I don't know how you could jump on issue 13. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
I think more that Wolverine issue is an issue you could jump on than 13.
Right.
But
yeah.
Anyway.
Legacy does not, basically it's the first issue with Clinton and Foley, but
this issue that just came out.
Yes.
Okay.
Is the Legacy.
I'm sorry.
It's the Legacy issue, but it's still the continuation
I keep thinking
of the
we're
story.
on 14, not 13.
Nope. 13 is the start of it. But
for some reason I thought you said issue or whatever with Jessica Jones. I'm way
6
off.
or 7.
Keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great series. Lots of comedy. There is heart though. Like that's why I love. Like we all saw Thor this year, and it's like you can do those. I'm tying it in. There's doing those moments where it can be funny, like almost the whole movie. But if you do funny the whole movie, and there's no time for any like seriousness or like actual like motivations, then it's just a weak comedy. Like it's just pointless fun.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like she loves being Hawkeye. That's the best part, is you can see when she uses the arrows or is doing what she does best, investigating, everything like that. Like, she's having the time of her life.
Yeah.
Yes, like, you know, she wants to know more about her mom and her dad, like what happened, the whole mystery, which is fun too, because I think a lot of books don't get mysteries right. Like, there's always a mystery and then it always doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
And so the way that she does it, kind of like a cop, a detective, like a real detective, is real fun. It doesn't need to be a superhero. She doesn't need to be a superhero to solve the crime.
We talked about that the other night too, is that book also, like, she's a detective. She's not really that great at it.
Right.
But she can get herself out of any kind of bind she gets herself into. But it also, like, the part of the comedy is that she's not really that great at being a detective. She's more better at being a hero.
Yeah.
That's why she can get out of those type of things. But I was thinking, Matt, because you just said something that sparked a memory. That issue, or when she's talking to her father in, like, the kind of dark office.
Yeah.
That's something also that I forgot to mention. Like, it is a comedy kind of book and it's fun, but those moments really do have a lot of suspense and a lot of, like, it's kind of horrorish in a way that you're like, what's happening? Like, it's pretty, like, like, what's going to happen to her? Like, you really feel for Kate.
Suspenseful, yeah.
And, like, did he really kill her mom? Like, what's really going on? Did her father kill her mom? And then you said that we were reviewing that issue where you could see that he was, like, always holding his mom and, like, influencing her
right
to make her act like nothing was happening. And then we learned that he had powers and, like, he can influence
He
people.
can manipulate, yeah.
And then you look back and it's like, that's really dark for this kind of book. But it really does, like you said, add that foundation where it can be fun, but every once in a while it goes to that level and you're like, I care about these people.
Mm-hmm. Or another example would be where Madame Mask is Kate, impersonating her. Like, that was horrifying too, because Madame Mask is just like a murdering assassin, like killing all these people. And that's so unlike Kate, you know, and right away at first we think it's Kate and we're like, what the hell's going on with this girl?
From a storytelling perspective, it starts with you not even knowing that it's not Kate.
Yeah.
And eventually you're like, what's going on? Why is she killing people? And then eventually you're like, something's going on. And then cut to, you see Kate in the jail and you're like, oh, it's not her.
Right. And I love the colors. I love that it, like, takes place in California.
Jordy.
Yeah, Jordy Belair, killing it. So I think that, you know, that's one of those books that we all talk about in Marvel doesn't ever need to be part of an event. It's its own book.
No.
It
needs to stay
ruin
its own
it.
book,
Yeah. I love, and I'm going to put you guys just a little bit. He's like, even though Clint Barton comes in, it is still Kate's book.
Is it really?
100%. This is a Kate Bishop Hawkeye book.
When Aha and Fraction were doing the Kate issues, I tell you what, I was not as big of a fan of Kate
At first.
Mm-hmm. This book really solidified Kate as being a Hawkeye that I can get behind. She is quippy. Yeah, I agree. She's a sucky detective, but she gets lucky, and she's just that resourceful, and I like that in her.
We forgot the dog, Lucky. He's funny too. Remember that wink?
Is Lucky the dog from Matt Fraction's run?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
That
Pizza dog.
she adopted.
I should read that.
She kind of steals it.
Yeah,
I need to read that.
that is one of those books.
Is that what happens? She goes, I'm taking your dog too. And she just
Well,
does it.
to be fair, Clint's getting the shit kicked out of him all the time. That poor dog is never getting to go outside.
He never got pizza. So, yeah,
So-
that issue is one of the best ones if you go back to that run.
Issue
Pizza
11?
Dog. Pizza Dog.
Awesome.
Is it an silent issue, you said?
Yeah, I think it's an Eisner Award-winning issue.
It's all about Lucky and what he's doing and what he sees from people.
He's in love with Jonathan the Wolverine.
Of course. Best friends. So my number 2 is actually going to be a bit of a surprise. I was telling Marvin that there's some books that normally is my number 1, but I put Deadly Class as my number 2. I've got one other book that I think is a better book. I've loved Deadly Class since it came out, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
And this book, Wesley Craig is kicking ass on that art. Rick Remender.
Wes Craig. I don't know if he's full Wesley, but
No, he goes. I saw it on something else that was Wesley Craig.
by the way, Dead Class not on my top 5.
Well, I'm going to start out there unless you want to wait.
Whatever you want to do.
It's my number 1. I'll go back and tell 2, but I don't want to talk about it twice.
I get
That's
that.
the thing. But I get why. For me, though, I read it all this year.
Yeah.
This year, I read Deadly Class like from issue 1.
Well, it's like
where
his
we're at
saga
now.
was 4, mine
Yeah.
was 5.
Right.
Or 3.
But I could see, like, we've only had, 4 issues come out this year? And of those 4, like, some of them were nice. They were, like, you know, times in these new kids' lives where, you know, they're just wanting to be teenagers. But then you get kind of the more overarching things that are happening throughout the story that, Rick's always planned, which is like, Marcus and Maria coming back, dealing with these new kids, also having the seniors like come, basically they want to kill them.
What are the students called when they're
rats?
Not rats. What are the other ones called? The rat hunters? Rat catchers?
Whatever.
Just called something. Anyway, they're the shoo-in students.
I just think for me, for it being around, I want this to be open because this is year 2.
No, that's fine.
I think of it as like bloodthirsty and action packed, whatever. I think of it as like, a romance story, to be honest. Like every time I read it, like there's so much history in this book that I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great series. It makes you feel for all the characters. I know I've told you guys I don't like the new cast as much, but that's probably because I'm just so into like Marcus, Maria, and Saya. I think they're really great characters, and I just really connected to some of their internal demons, and then you get this once volume 1 of the whole story ends. You kind of like, I was really attached to those characters, and then you get new characters, and that's how it's supposed to work. But then when I found out that they were coming back, it was just awesome. It was a good feeling. It's like, they could have never came back on that book, and that book still would have been amazing. But the fact that they did, no, I swear.
I give you a little bit of a judgmental stare because I know that Maria and Marcus are the saving point for this book. For you.
It was dipping in quality for me. Like the issue right before Marcus came back, I was like, what happened to this book?
Because now I have to admit, I was sold on the new group. I understood that Marcus is dead. Maria's. I thought Maria had been poisoned in issue 14.
Right,
she was
a long
gone.
time ago. Yeah,
and so I'd come to peace with her being dead. Marcus, I could see him coming back, but I wanted these new characters to get the attention and character building that Marcus and Maria and that whole gang had gotten. So I'm still kind of lacking on what I'm getting from this book. I still love it.
Right.
But this second school year has taken a change, and I'm not as in love with it.
I think it's wanting to tell the story of the new class, but I could have again, it would have been interesting, but I think it would have been nice, like in the background, maybe get like 2 to 5 pages of story every issue about what's happening with Marcus and Maria, and the rest be all about the new class, like the majority of it, so that it can be something in the background that's kind of creeping up, and then because it's been 6 issues since Marcus and Maria came back. Roughly.
Yeah, they came back. I think he came back in 26 and he finds her in 26.
Right. So I think they could have made that last a lot longer, and so it would make when they all come back together, this freaking huge explosion of holy shit. And then you get more time for those characters to breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think, also Marcus and Maria are catalysts for the rest of the younger ones.
Well, and I agree, is that Marcus and Maria are a staple to the new class.
Yeah.
You don't want to be these rats, or if you're going to be a rat, you got to be amazing like these two were. Well, she's been dead for a long time. Yeah. Anyway, but Marcus is the staple of pissing everybody off.
Yeah.
And as we've seen in the last issue, does he stab the girl in the neck or shoot her in the neck?
I think he shoots her.
Okay, because I know that Victor's got the sniper rifle and is going to shoot everyone down there. Then he's like, where the hell's
and Marcus is like, hey, Vic. Oh, so, great.
It's one of those things that this book has amazing moments and has some great payoff. I'm ready for Marcus to kill some fuckers.
I think for me, at least, this is definitely still, I think, a great book for me. It's more that the things in my top 5 had more issues that were good quality.
Right.
It had 6 issues. I was looking up. It had 6 issues come out this year, but it was February, March, and then May, July, August, October. And then we haven't had another issue. So the pacing is way off for me especially when you read monthly. I'm sure it'll be great in trade.
Yeah.
But to read monthly in that big of gaps in between, it really does lose something. Well, but if you go back to the reviews we did for those issues, I remember loving them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's still a great book. It's just that for me, when I have a book like Batman that's been killing it twice a month for the whole year, I can't really say.
It's hard to compare Batman to Deadly Class, and it's hard to or to any book other than another DC book. When they come out twice a month and you're getting either a continuous story, it is hard to compete with anything.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't think any of the books on my list here have been delayed at all. And I think that really, for me, and I'm starting to realize when you read monthly, it really does affect the book. Like, it really shouldn't, because it really should be based on what's inside the pages. But if I can't read it, and it does ruin the pace for me if I can't read it.
Well, I remember years ago when we did our top 5 book, just before we even did the show, before we did this, East to West.
You mean when we used to be on the streets and yell at people walk by?
You know,
top 5 comics, go.
when we would write it on the whiteboard,
and they'd be like,
and it'd be East to West to be on the list. East to West will never be on my list anymore unless it starts coming out consistently and the material I'm getting is good.
I bet you anything I read in trade would be my list. You know what I mean? Because I could read in bigger chunks. But when I read one issue a year, it's like, how can that be in my top 10? Like, there's no context for what's happening in that book because I see that and then I don't see anything else for 6 months.
Yep.
And I know we got 6 issues, but there's 1, 2, and then there would be like 3 months, 4 months, 1, 2, and then you know what I mean? So I definitely think they're great. Wes Craig is great.
Yeah,
but for me at least, like, I can really, especially my memory, like I can really be like, oh, that was great because I really remember. Like,
but I have a decent memory and I don't remember stuff, so it's not just you.
It's still on your list though.
But it's one of those books that actually, when it does come out, it still does impress me because there are still shocking things.
That's what I mean. I mean, the issues were great, but at the beginning, before we started the list, I said there were some that wouldn't be on because I couldn't justify myself being like, yeah, you can be on the list, but you'll get 6 issues out.
No.
Where like somebody like, Hawkeye, it's been coming out consistently for.
As if you use the Batman thing, I gotta stop you again because that thing would have came out regardless. Of Tom
Batman's
King.
always gonna come out. But yeah,
that's
right.
the thing. That's regardless. Tom King would have had to write it, but Saga, I get
Hawkeye.
that. And Hawkeye, at least Kelly Thompson, you got to be writing other books.
Hey, by the way, I was concerned because Deadly Class is gonna be on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
I was concerned being like, man, it should be Myers said like on Showtime, on Netflix, something like that. Like how are they gonna show it? Have you watched Happy?
I haven't started watching, but I heard it's actually been going great.
With that first episode was so great, and I guess you can say fuck on TV now.
You can say the fuck.
They say like fuck like every 2 words.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, I guess. And there's like tons of. It's very violent. It's very also. There's a lot of sexual stuff in there too. And yes, they're not. For instance, there's a scene where there's a prostitute and she's giving some guy oral sex. Obviously, they're not actually going to show anything like that, but. It's still you see a lot from me being like, well, this is fucking sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then like there's a lot of parts from like wait after he said fuck once, I'm like, okay, you can say it one time. And then he says fuck again. I'm like, well, how many times can I say this?
Wow.
And a lot of blood. Like literally, it's not really gonna spoil it because it happens like right away. But he has like this dream right away and he shoots himself in the head. Blood. Like just for like 2 minutes, just like blood.
Well, he's been dead for a while. And he still has blood coming out.
It's a hallucination.
I get it's a dream.
But it's still he's like dancing. You know how happy he is.
Right.
It fucking Grant Morrison. By the way, I learned he actually like worked on that show, which makes me happy that he's like working on the show.
That's only 4 episodes.
He was on Seth Meyers Late Night.
Oh, really?
God, I love that guy. To see that
Grant Morrison or Christopher
Grant Morrison.
Oh, okay.
God, I love seeing that guy talk. He can talk about anything. He literally talked about stuff that I've heard him tell stories about before, and I watched him and was like, I want to watch that again.
He could talk about paper, and I'd be cool.
So I am really looking forward to that show now on Sci-Fi because I saw it and I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. If they could do Happy on there, then they can do.
It seems like they're just like, hey, do whatever you want. And so if they're doing that with Deadly Class, as long as it's the Russo brothers, as long as they do a good job with it in house, I think it should be great.
Yeah.
So what's your number 2?
Wasn't his turn to number 2?
Yeah, that was your number 2, right? Deadly Class.
That was my number 2.
So it's
I see you chimed in for you. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 2 is a book. Did you talk about it? No, I don't think you talked about it. No, it's not on your list. But it was just on your list. Kill or Be Killed.
Yeah.
By Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, and Betty Rureister.
Not a thing.
Is a book, like I've talked about it.
I don't know what it is about that. It just bugs the shit out of me.
What, the Betty?
Yeah.
It's Elizabeth.
Or I don't know, first name.
It'd be like calling, well, I guess I do call you Gary.
It's a book for me because I love that team from Criminal Days. I Fade Out. Fatale I never really got into, but that's still the same team.
I thought you read a little bit of Fatale.
No, I haven't.
You just asked me if
I asked you, like, I put it on my Hoopla. It's all on there. It's on my list to read, but I haven't read it yet. But especially Criminal. I love Criminal. It's one of my favorite series of all time.
Yeah.
But Kill or Be Killed was them being like, hey, can we do like an ongoing kind of series? Because, Criminal was kind of like a contained story within the arcs. Fade Out was, 12 issues. 12 issues when it was done. Fatale was a little bit of ongoing. It had an end point, but so at first I was like, okay, are they going to be able to have the same type of quality in an ongoing series? And I actually think they do. Sean Phillips has some of the best storytelling in terms of acting in a series. Like just reading their faces, like Dylan. Like I can imagine Dylan's expressions right now just thinking about it. Betty's colors are fantastic for any situation, like you were talking about before, when we get those devil scenes and it's all red kind of, or there's some scenes at night that are like kind of bluish. Perfectly fits the noir theme of it, but also kind of like horror theme. When we cut to Dylan's dad's paintings, it changes style in a way that you're like, it looks amazing kind of art. Like you can see why people hired him for that kind of art, but also it's haunting in a way. So you're looking at it being like, man, was his dad okay? You know what I mean? And then story wise, Ed Brubaker is telling a story, which if you write it on paper, you're saying, hey, yeah, this vigilante thinks the devil saved him and he's got to kill one person a month. It's like, yeah, that's a pitch. But then the way it's gone, like if you tell me from issue 1 and you tell me where it is now, there's no way I expect any of this to happen.
Yeah.
And that did you read the last issue? 14?
I thought we talked about it.
Did we?
We didn't talk about it. We didn't. I read it.
I
haven't gotten it.
Oh, it was good.
Oh God, it's so good.
Man.
No, you haven't read it because we were talking about something about that last page.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just gotta jog my memory. Last time I saw, he was killing Russians.
It starts that way, but it doesn't end that way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to see if it's in my stack.
That issue especially, like it's really action packed, but like the way that story unfolds, it's, I always talk about on this show, people love to see people good at their job.
Yeah.
The way that issue folds out, you're like, man, he's fucking good. And he's only good because how fucking crazy he is.
He's so cunning.
He's so motivated. But it's like weird to be like, man, look at that guy. He's so motivated, but he's a fucking killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're relating with a guy that you're like, oh, he's killing bad guys though. Yeah, but he's still killing. Like, is it really okay? So you get that kind of moral ambiguity in a comic where you're like, is this okay or is it not okay? Like, obviously people like Punisher, but people think he's crazy too. We have the Punisher platoon. Does it really make him a sane man?
Yeah.
And in this comic, it's taken it another level. Like when he sees the devil and when he hears that his dad had mental issues and his brother had mental issues.
He's the only one that hasn't. In his eyes.
But yeah, it's really a story about that also. Like, what kind of toll does it take on you to start killing people? Is it really something that is hereditary, or is it really motivated by his actions? Like, is he really getting crazier as it goes on? Is his killing motivated by that, or is he actually really trying to save people? Like, at what point is he to be like, I'm safe, this is okay? And he's saying he's trying to save Kira, but what point is he like, damn, I'm good at this? And I kind of says it at the newest issue, spoil a little bit. He says, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is that he stopped doing it for the people probably about the time he killed that guy waiting to kill Kira or to get a hold of Kira.
I think you could make the case for either one though. Like for him in his head, he's like, no, I'm saving Kira. But then when he's killing, he enjoys it a little too much. Mm-hmm. Like when he killed that first guy, remember how nervous he was?
Well, that's the thing, is that the first time it was, he attacked my friend. I'm just getting back at him for this.
Yeah, when it started getting easy, that's when you're like, whoa, hold on a second.
Once you're embracing, it's like you're not doing it because you think you're doing the right thing.
His initial justification's for Kira, but that's literally all it is like a little bottle rocket to get him going.
And this is the reason I can do it.
And I think we're going to see, I actually do believe that we're seeing this story not from the hero's perspective, that Dylan is not the good guy in this story.
No.
That we're going to see the detective come back from those issues we saw before, and the story is going to be about, like, by the end of it, you're going to be like, wow, this is a story told from the bad guy's perspective on how he got started and how he kept going and how they hunted him down. Yep. And we're going to get to the end and be like, and also, like, was it really his fault? He was mentally ill. Nobody tried to help him. He tried to help himself, being on medication. But his mom really, like, he tried to talk to his mom, and his mom really was like, oh, yeah, your dad was, like, she's not really there to help him out.
But then, like you said, if it's the bad guy telling the story, he's not getting the whole story.
She can't even trust him.
Yeah.
You can't even trust him to know what's real and what's not real. Yep. Like, we see things in the book and you just take it on his word, and really is his word enough? Because obviously he's lying to everybody else in his life. Is he lying to you, the reader? Because he's talking to us the whole time. So that's what I really love about this book. It's not just, like I said, that pitch about like this guy's killing bad guys because he thinks the devil wants to kill it. Every issue has different layers about like, what are we like? What's this issue about? Then the acting, like there's so many things about this book you could pick apart for days. That every time I get an issue, and especially when we get to that back matter, you can tell, and when he gives like essays on other kind of mediums and stuff like that, that this isn't a book that is purely just for the action, for the killing. This is a book to be like, what does it mean to be a killer, and how should society see this killer? And like, are we really like what are we doing to help him? Because at the end of the day, this guy is mentally ill. We know that for a fact. Is anybody trying to help him? Like this, he should have help. He tries to go to a psychiatrist. Remember, he thought he wasn't paying attention to him. So like,
Kira's the closest thing.
She is, but also like it's very fragile, that kind of relationship. Like no, it was in the newest issue, so I won't say. But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But there's a lot of things in this book where you're like, he might end up being the bad guy, but is it his fault? And that's a question you ask about society. Like I talk about Saga, it's something really in real life is that when you see these kind of stories come out about these people who end up like being a serial killer, you're like, yeah, they're crazy, but shouldn't they got help at some point in the line? Because there's a movie coming out that was based on a comic, if you know about Jeffrey Dahmer, our friend Dahmer. And so like, it's like, well, he in high school, everybody knew that he was like, oh, he's that weird kid. And Dylan, they're all like, multiple people know that he's not well. But yet nobody's like, oh, how you doing? Like, I don't think anybody's ever asked him that. And he's carried, like you said, it's the closest thing. Yeah. But even she's kind of like, you can tell kind of weird about it. There's that one scene when they're walking away from his mom's house where you can tell she's not okay with that 100%. She's kind of like, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
And really, is it up to her to be his caretaker at all? And maybe when she finds out he's doing all this stuff, she should have been like, I should have done more. And that's why I love this book, because it's like, there's so much that you can look into in this book. And it also is, like this book is 100% realistic. Even the devil part, because that's his mentally, like people say all the time, like, oh, the devil told me to do it.
Yep.
And now we're seeing it from that person's perspective. And you're like, yeah, I guess I believed he was real. And he said, hey, you're going to die unless you kill somebody. I would kill somebody. Like if I really was that mentally ill and I believe them 100%, like it's either them or me. And you know what? The first person he killed, he was a child molester. I'm going to kill him. I love the book a lot. That team is amazing. That team has been for a while been like, oh, they're doing a book, I'm going to get that book.
Yeah.
But they've cemented being like, now they're just like, they know how to work 100% well. Oh, they're making a sequel to Fade Out, by the way, if you don't read the back matter.
Fade Out?
Okay. Fade Out. And they're making a criminal novella.
Well, since I don't think I've read this issue, I wouldn't have read the back matter.
I think it was the last one.
I think it might be the last issue.
I still don't read it. So.
I know, that's why I said they're making a sequel to Fade Out. But
cool.
I love that book a lot. Yeah, that's a book I'll recommend. It is very heavy, though. Like I was saying before, like Hawkeye's fun. That book is heavy. Like I don't want to be like, hey, you want to have some fun with comics? Kill or be killed.
Well, there's some like not a whole lot of comedy, but there is comedic moments where he's like, just kind of like saying,
it's like Sopranos.
I'm fucked. Yeah.
Like if you like Sopranos, I'd be like, hey, read that book, because Sopranos has a lot about that too. He goes to a psychiatrist. It's a lot about like, is he mentally well, and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I would say if you like Sopranos, you would read that. But Sopranos also isn't a show where I go to my mom did watch Sopranos, so that's to my grandma and be like, hey, you want to watch Sopranos? Right. But I would if like Hawkeye, be like, hey, this is fun. You want to watch this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my number 2 is Mech Cadet U by Greg Pak. Really?
It surprises me, but it doesn't. Like I didn't expect it to be on your list, but it makes sense.
Well, I know, like it is such a good book. The art's really good. The story is incredible. It's kind of that, it's kind of like the Excalibur tale. Okay. You get a kid who doesn't feel like he's worthy of anything. In this instance, he's a janitor. He's a janitor's son, a cleaning lady's son, and he's just helping the Space Cadet Academy clean their building. Like that's all his potential was ever going to be. And it turns out that, these robots come to Earth every year and pick humans, like cadets, to be their user. And so they have like these prestige candidates that could be likely picked. And instead of one of the prestiges getting picked, why do I always
with an S?
It does. Stanford U. Yes, finally got it. Thanks, Marvin. Stanford gets picked. Yep. He gets picked literally on his way home from leaving the academy because he's done cleaning for the day. And at that point, it's kind of like if you could insert yourself like in that situation, like how badass would it be if a robot came out of space, picked you to be its user to fight aliens? I mean, it's pretty sick. If you think of Pacific Rim, like I say, you can, use this for like, it's like Ender's Game, it's like Pacific Rim, because, there's aliens. What?
I'm just in front of the fan.
He's getting warm.
There's aliens like that you can fight monsters, and the monster fights are cool. The choreography is really sweet. When I found out that this was going to be an ongoing
Are we still talking about the
series-
book, or are you talking about Pacific Rim?
No, I'm making it you.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Hey, how many issues are out?
There's 4 out.
Okay.
And now it's going to be an ongoing series.
There's 3 on Hoopla if you want to catch up.
Yeah, they all go up on Hoopla, Boom Studios. I think that if anybody wanted to start out on a comic, this would be a good comic book to start out on. I mean, for people that like action or blockbusters, this would be a good intro.
Is it like an all ages book?
Oh yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I don't even think there's even been
Boom's
blood
usually
in
good
it.
about that. All age stuff. So
I mean, and not only that, you get some nice cardstock cover if you're not reading digitally. Like, it's a quality book when you read it. So I found out because I read issue 4 on Thanksgiving that it's going to be an ongoing series because like these guys knew that I was like doom and gloom, like, oh man, this book's ending, like it sucks. Find out it's ongoing, and I'm super excited. I think that anyone that's ever loved anything to do with robots fighting monsters, you're just gonna love it.
that art looks great too.
The art is so good. So, all right, guys,
Cadet.
talk about your book for 20 minutes. Here we go.
I say, to be fair, I do feel bad. Every time he and I have a book, we talk about it forever.
Yeah, this one I'm gonna say I couldn't pick because like I enjoy it, but I don't.
It seems
I
like
don't think
that's-
it's that.
But you think you know what book it is?
Oh, I know. What
It
book
seems like
is.
that book is making it you is kind of
Yeah.
like Hawkeye, where you're just like, oh, it's a fun book.
I think this would be
It's really hard
the
to
year of the
describe.
fun for me.
Yeah.
It's
I think so too, because when you read books that are very heavy, like Kill or Be Killed, or a book that's probably coming up, well, you need that kind of balance. Like
Right.
we talked about it before, like I really do need a book where it's like Batman being not like detective kind of Batman, detective comics where it's like Batman, all his gadgets and shit, where it's like, oh, that's fucking comic books, or like Mecha U or Hawkeye, where it's like, this is fun. And then, but also like something that in a way uses that medium so great, like my number one, Royal City. Is that yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna lie and come up with a fake book, and I couldn't think of anything.
Where you get something that really is. I feel like he doesn't like the term slice of life. I'm making up a new term right now. I've never heard this before. I'm going to call this like a journal story. It really does feel like this is Jeff Lemire. It's like a journal of fiction story. Like he took his life and then made it into a fictional story. He made his experiences and made it into a fictional story. So every time something happens in that world, it does feel real, and not even real where I'm like, of course that would happen. It feels real where like it feels rough. You know what I mean? Like he's not holding back.
It's real life. Like, I mean, if this, I know it's like drawn, obviously, but I mean, like, if you peel back that layer, I mean, this is something that could actually physically happen in the real world.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is like, it's not that, a lot of times in movies you see something and be like, man, that feels really real, but it's like things aren't always. And sometimes when you write stuff, it feels like it's very A/B. Like something happens, they react to it, and they react to it in the perfect way. In this book, it's kind of like something happens and they react to it in a real way where it's not always like, it's kind of messy, and it's kind of like really more dealing with their emotions.
When you say that, I
know what I mean?
The conclusion of Tara telling her husband, "We're getting
That's
a
the moment I'm
divorce."
actually thinking about. It's like when that happens in any other movie, you would be like, she's like, I'm getting a divorce. We're going to get a divorce. And it's kind of like, yeah, man, she must feel so great. And then, you do kind of see that on her face, and then she turns around and you can see she's like still not like, she's not okay with it.
It's not going to make me happy.
It's like, it's she made a decision because she can't live with it anymore. But it's like you said, yeah, it's not an easy decision to make. And that's kind of like what this book is. It's like people made decisions and you have to live with them. People like what's his name? Mark? Is not Mark. What's the guy who left
Pat?
to get back? Pat.
Oh,
Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick.
Patrick, like he left that city, like he chose to be like, oh no, I'm done with this. Like you guys are way too much for this. I'm going to go and try to live a life. But even him, like you can't run away from your problems and be like, oh no, it's that town. He left and met with his wife, and that's a whole nother problem for him because he never learned to deal with his problems. He just learned to run away from them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's not, like I said, it's not clean. It's rough, but that's life. Like, life isn't about being like, oh, yeah, you guys are the problem. I know the solution.
Right.
It's about how do you keep making mistakes to figure out what's the best thing for me to do? But it's, but in Star Wars, what do you say? Spoilers. Somebody who, little guy.
God damn it. I don't think we should do this. Well, I guess by that point.
There's a line in the movie.
Spoilers. You got to spoiler cue this.
I'm not going to spoiler cue
this.
Just say what he says. Do you remember? He says mistakes.
Yes. Fail. You learn.
You learn from
failure. You learn from.
Well, that's spoilers.
I said to put the spoiler thing in.
But I mean,
But he was.
That's a great line in that movie that is like 100% fictional, but that's
you're talking about the bro hug in front of the tree.
That's real life. Like in Royal City, people.
Hey, listeners, what's it like to give a shit about Star Wars? Because I don't have that.
Well, that's 99.9% of our listeners.
And I watched Garrett's like legitimate smile of that was hilarious, and I'm sitting here going,
I did not say hilarious.
No. Your face says it was hilarious.
It was
and my brain and my face goes, I just lost some brain cells watching him smile.
And then that's where I wish I could do force choke on Alex.
So when like they do anything in that book,
I'm not gonna say
it is like real life where you have to fail to learn, and you have to but if you run away all the time, it's not going to happen. I think
that's bottle up.
Or if you ignore it, a lot of people in that book ignore their problems.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that's what Tommy signifies in that book is that they've ignored that problem, so he's still around. They've never dealt with it ever, and so. We have his mom being like, "Oh, he would have been like this."
Yep.
Nobody knew who he was. He's always like they're seeing him how they want him to be because nobody like really knew who he was. If you read now the current storyline, Tommy's alone for a lot of that time. Yeah. Like his family's not around, stuff like that. So they do feel guilty in a way because they never knew who he was, but also like they put what they wished upon him.
Yeah.
And so, like, when they see him now, he's like, oh, that's who he would have been. Yeah, of course. But
well, what's a ghost? A ghost is someone that has unresolved issues in life. But instead of him being like an actual ghost, it's their ghost because unresolved. Yep. They did not, obviously they haven't processed the amount of loss or what's happened to their family. Like, their family is so volatile. And we're just seeing that from the beginning because we know where they're at in the first arc. They're barely a family. I mean, calling them family is woof. What a loose term.
What amazes me is that do they really ever talk about Tommy? I know we see Tommy.
No, they haven't talked.
I feel like that's like,
but that's like a taboo thing. And the thing that brought them back together is Dad going into a coma.
Right.
And so I'm waiting for all this mixture to come together, and eventually. They're going to have a family talk.
Oh, there's going to be a resolution. It's going to explode.
But I think that's what this book is about and what makes it so great is that it's a family story and it's not about being like, oh, they get along and it's about, well, yeah, they have issues, but, they're family in the end. But I don't think any of them really feel like any kind of connection to each other. It's more like they're there, especially like Pat with the rest of the family. Like they're there. He's like, I gotta come back. Of course I gotta come back. But even him coming back, he's motivated by like, let me tell Tommy's story. Let me try to write this book, but
make it as it's my story.
But now he's coming back and facing that and he's probably gonna be the first one to face that directly with Tommy, being like, you can't steal my story and tell my story. That's mine to tell, and figure out who you are by yourself. Like you can't keep ignoring your problems by pretending you're somebody else. And he's right now kind of pretending like he's Tommy. Yeah. There's a lot of layers to that, but it's like different from Kill or Be Killed, where there's a lot of layers about like situations and plot. Royal City is characters and different situations about characters and different layers about characters and different like people. Like it's called Royal City, and because it's about that city, but
it's ironic.
It's more about what's their last name?
Did they ever say it?
I'm sure they do, but I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember what it is. You think actually did they say it?
I don't know if they do.
Because the city is called Royal City. But I don't. If they've said it, I don't remember it. So it's
here, I'm going to look it up. Jeff Lemire's art, though, is something you guys have to get used to, right?
In all honesty,
that's the best I've ever seen his art.
Yeah.
AD, I think this time of his life is the best his art's ever been.
Like, AD was good, and I know I haven't read issue 3, but it doesn't matter. Royal City, his art is so maybe it's down to earth is the right thing for it. It's not
It's grounded in real.
Yeah. And even the whole Tommy being a quote unquote ghost, because you're right. Tommy is the ghost that they're seeing his ghost, whether it's supernatural or not. It's what they see of him.
Their internal demons.
It's so grounded in realism to me. Yeah, his art doesn't look real, but the emotions and the feelings he gives is real.
Yeah. So I just want to put out one blanket statement of why I didn't put this in my top 5 is, when I read comics, I want to go into escapism and I want to feel good. It's a little heavy.
It's a little too real.
It's a great book. Like literally this would be in my top 10, but I didn't put it in my top 5 because when I read a comic, sometimes I dread reading this because I could be in the best mood. I'm like, after I read that book,
you will be depressed.
I will be sad.
It's unlike Saga where it says sometimes you'll feel happy, sometimes you'll feel sad. I know, I'm going to be depressed.
By the end, I'm just like, damn, something bad's going to happen.
I have found when it comes to picking a book in general to what I like, you guys are I read it for fun. I read it for the feels. Does it make me feel sad? No.
But at what point is that kind of sick?
No. I'm not saying no. I mean, there's some not to make me sad.
Oh, okay.
So hit me in the feelers whether or not I'm happy. Like I've laughed and God, this book was so good, or it made me think, or maybe sometimes it really did make me sad.
I think though that, and by the way, their last name is Pike.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I do think that. That's the mark of any kind of good art, though, is that it elicits some type of emotion from you. And the more real that emotion can be, whether or not it's something funny and you're like, oh, I can relate to that, or if it's something that, like you said, is really depressing and very real that you're like, I can learn from this. And maybe at a point, and I think that's the main reason why art exists in any kind of medium, is that at the end of this story, maybe you'll learn something about yourself. At the end of the story, maybe you'll learn a little bit about other people and have perspective. And maybe you'll learn to, and especially in this book, I think maybe appreciate people better in your life by being like, I've seen what happens when people push other people away during tragedy. Maybe if that happens to me, I won't do it. And I think any kind of story, if you go back to that Batman book, if you go back to Hawkeye, any of these kind of books, especially in this top, we were talking about top 5, not Justice League, but Brain Hitch, sorry. I don't know why I was fragging that book.
Yeah, that would
it's
be
the only book I can think about that we've ragged on this show. But any kind of book, what was the noise? Any kind of book
Hashtag
in our top 5.
Interrupt our top 5.
God,
tell them to shove it.
You're called in for a voicemail.
I know.
Any kind of book in our top 5, I think you would say that it does kind of elicit some emotion from you. That's why it's in your top 5. And there's something in that book where you're like, yeah, I relate to this book in a little way, or you'll take something away from it. Like Saga especially. During the issue where Petrie dies, you see that and you're like, it's very touching. Because you feel bad for that person and you can feel empathy, and so it helps you feel empathetic for people who you can't relate to at all. Fucking, what do you see, a meerkat?
I think it's a meerkat.
So, but it's in that way where you're like, if I can empathize with this meerkat, I can empathize with somebody who I can't relate with at all.
I think the thing with that is that you empathize with a character that the whole time you're thinking they're bad guys, or that they're they're just distrustful creatures.
Just because of the way they look, because of the situation that they were in. And sometimes you can't misjudge people just because of those things. Sometimes you really do have to get to know them. And at the end, they only get away because they help them.
Yep.
And they make a sacrifice. And so when you get to that point and they're dying, and you're like, oh, we misjudge people, but they're good people. So you're right. You take away that, and you can use that in your life. And I think, even if you look at kind of getting away from Royal City here, but I think it does apply. If you look at any kind of study, people who do read any kind of books, or even comics, or watch movies more, are more empathetic people, because these are different situations with different people, and you can see how things are in different lives other than yourselves. And I think that's where Royal City really succeeds, is that this never happened to me. I guess maybe somebody might die in my life and it might happen like that, but hopefully I read this and I'm like, I can read and be like, I know how they feel in this book. I know how it worked out for them. That's not going to happen to me.
No.
Or at the very least, I can see how it affected people and be like, maybe they feel like that. And so maybe I should So I really do love this because it's very personal, Jeff Lemire, I believe. Mm-hmm. It feels like I said, it's a journal fiction.
It seems like he's putting his all into it.
Oh, this is the staple of his. I think of all the books I've read or seen, this is the book that he cares the most about, and that it has the most heartfelt connection to him.
And we have a book that I'm very excited about coming out from him next year called The Terrifics. But if any book's coming out from Jeff Lemire that I'm going to keep reading is Royal City, because it's part of that. Like we just said, it's something that really does feel real, and something that I think really does feel honest in a way. I don't think he's pulling any kind of punches, and so it's that kind of book when somebody could be like, "I'm opening myself up to you." Yes, you could read this book and be like, "It's not good," and but I feel like people need to know this. So I'm going to be very honest with you in this book. And that's what this, I think that's why I want to read this book. And like you said, I'll read it being like, I know I'm going to be depressed.
Right.
But
I mean, the world's not sunshine and rainbows.
No, but I mean, when I read it, at least I'm like, I never feel like I'm being lied to. I'm
That's
almost
true.
like when I say, I feel like they're real people.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm being lied to. It's a real situation.
You know, the one thing I noticed about the books that, at least I brought up tonight, are not books that I could have, if I wasn't a quote unquote seasoned reader, I wouldn't enjoy these books nearly as much. I would be the superhero or the turtles. Or
Do you remember old Alex
Cumin all the time? Cumin.
Old Alex that wouldn't read anything not superhero related?
Probably. That's the thing is that like
It was for a while.
This list of mine would be an Avengers book and a Batman book and a this book and that. It wouldn't be Royal City. It wouldn't be Deadly Class. Yes, Batman's on there, but it's not even for the fact that it's superhero Batman. It's Bruce Wayne.
But when you think about it, any of those kind of books, Batman, Superman, Captain America, Thor, those books don't work unless you have something that you can relate to.
Yeah.
So even if you get them down to the bare essentials of what those books are about, it's very similar to Royal City. It's very similar to Kill or Be Killed. And that's what makes those books work. Yes, of course, I love Batman's how he's such a badass, but I'm also like concerned, like what Tom should tell us, like the.
But it's been 75 years of him being a badass. You want to know more than just
eventually.
The surface.
His Bataring's cool, his Batmobile's cool, but like I need to know more about him to not think of him. And I think that's where when you think about certain comics like Superman, people get him wrong because they focus on the wrong things.
Right. They focus on his powers, not him being Clark
They don't
Kent.
focus on him being Clark Kent and being an immigrant, and maybe he feels left out, and how does he relate to people? They're like, oh, he's strong.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him lift that.
He can throw somebody really far.
Royal City, I would recommend for anybody. I love that book.
I don't know if it's all ages. That's pretty heavy material.
No, not everybody. I mean, like, if you're thinking about getting into comics, it's going to be heavy, but I think it really is beneficial to read that book to, I don't know, I feel it could be a better person to read that book.
You know, when I read Royal City, when I look at Royal City, I think of Day Tripper.
Day Tripper.
Don't spoil that book.
I'm not going to spoil. I'm just saying that this book, those books feel not even like they're connected at all, but the way they make me feel.
Hey, you're right. Actually, I've never thought about that.
It
really does.
They've got the same kind of style. They've got the same just.
But Day Tripper is a book, and I think we talked about it on this show before, that I think I brought it up briefly. Maybe we should talk about it more sometime. Like All-Star Superman, Day Tripper. Those kind of books, and it's kind of weird to say about All-Star because it's about Superman, but there's parts of that book, like I just talked about, the bare essentials of it, that starting that book, I felt a certain way. By the end of it, I was like, I think I'm different now. Mm-hmm. I think I'm a different person. Especially in Day Tripper, there's things in there about fathers and sons. And so when you read that book, you're like, I think maybe I have a different perspective on what it means to be a father and what it means to be a son. All-Star Superman, I think I have a different perspective of what it means to sacrifice, what it means to be a better person. And Royal City, I think hopefully by the time we're done with it, I'll be like, I think I know what it means to live through a tragedy and come out better in the end.
Yep.
To rise above it, to not have the city drag you down, have the situation drag you down, but you have people there that are going to help you rise above. And I think that's what the book's about. And that's why it's so strong.
Yeah.
Good book.
Yeah.
I'm swallowing my spit.
He's not crying. I don't know.
Okay.
No, Marvin would have been crying like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I almost, if you go back to the show, I was getting a little choked up, but that was like 5 minutes ago. Yeah. I'm past that now.
I think, reading it as a trade, I think would be nice because you'd be in it and it'd be
trades out too.
Yeah. Well, I mean is like when you read the story, because like every time like you get to a cliffhanger of an issue, you get pulled out because you're just like, holy shit, that was deep.
Can I say also, it's very in a 90s time frame.
Yeah.
And usually when you get something that's set in the past, they really rely heavily on that nostalgia, being like, guys, we're in the 90s. Remember, we're in the 90s. You wouldn't really notice besides the music.
Yeah.
And the music's like every once in a while.
Kind of the style of their clothes a little bit.
But it's not like in your face. It's
Right.
more in a time period so you know.
Not cell phones.
It's more for a storytelling aspect than to be like, we're in the 90s.
Oh, I just imagined the radios is the big thing for me. It's even antique radios in this time period.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I
really
mean,
look.
it's good. I do
I understand
enjoy
why
it.
you're not in your top
Yeah.
5. I mean, that's why I said I need to put Hawkeye in this.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
there's only so much I can read it like Royal City and be like, hopefully Hawkeye's up this week.
Yeah, that'd be like
'Cause I need a one,
watching
too.
like crime
Wasn't Hawkeye on
procedural.
your
And,
list?
Huh?
Wasn't Hawkeye on your list?
Yeah. That's why I said I put it on my list.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Okay.
To have kind of a balance.
I misheard you. That's not that you go. That's why I didn't put her on the list. I thought, yeah, sure was.
well, it's people that like watch things, like watch so much stuff about like they're obsessed with like World War II. But then at what point are you like so in it that you're like it's consuming your life? That's where you got to take a step back, read some Hawkeye, and be like, hey, world's all good.
We're in Hawkeye.
It's not that
That's how
bad.
we do it.
Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com. No bell. So you can let us know.
Why are you flipping everybody off?
Huh? I'm flipping off
The
bell.
Bell's
Because it's not here.
The bell's not at the camera.
That should.
Huh?
It should be more of a yay
No.
cheering. Why are you?
I'm flipping off the bell.
everybody.
The bell's not here.
He has
So I
to-
hope that
he has
bell
to swear
rusts.
not audibly,
I got you.
visually.
I got you. Okay.
That bell, I hope, is rusting. I hope they. You know what, guys? Sergeant America, throw that in a toilet.
Well, I was just
and let
talking
it
about
collect
loss,
rust.
and that Royal City is helping me through that loss. So
of your stupid bell.
at Wednesday Comics on Twitter, at Garot2188, at Alex Pastrello, or at Marvin_Saguero, at Pastrami_news, by the way, if you want.
I think that pastrami guy's dead.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. I'm pretty sure the guy is. Hey, I didn't put out a
just
poster
on
for him.
vacation.
He's missing also, but I didn't put. Yeah, he can.
To be fair, I'm guessing a couple quick stole
What's
that.
the chances that a deli found him and cut him up?
Holy crap!
Pastrami news in your sandwich.
That would explain everything.
Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. Find us on YouTube also at Wednesday Comics. See this beautiful video where this guy just gave you the finger.
I wasn't giving you the finger. I was giving the bell in the universe the finger.
Six-
The bell inside the universe, not the bell and the universe.
I hope the light. I hope it the atmosphere just explodes.
I really need to put
around
that
you.
board higher because I cannot read down there. 605-215-1849. That
Put it
is
against the fucking
our
wall.
voicemail. I'll put you fucking.
Yeah, there's this big empty space right here.
You heard it here first.
605-215-1849. That is the voicemail. Call and leave us a voicemail. Hey, let us know what you think of this Fox news. If we missed something, if you're excited about it, if you're worried about it, just like me, 40% of the marketplace. Let us know. Also, I want to hear your thoughts on Last Jedi.
Yeah. Give us. I mean,
If you call in and leave enough content, maybe me and Garrett talk about it on the show.
yeah.
Garrett, what about this book club?
We have the Wednesday Comics League of Extraordinary Gentle People coming out with The Other Side, written by Jason Aaron. With
fucked it up.
No, I saw him spill coffee on or pop on himself. I saw Dropfall with art
didn't see
by
anything.
Cameron Stewart. It's Peripheral.
He's like Superman. He sees it. Very
But again, it's a story about the Vietnam War from the perspective of a Vietnamese soldier and an American soldier. It's Jason Aaron's first story he's ever wrote. And yeah, we have until January 5th, people. Do you think it's far away? It's literally like 3 weeks away. So get it read. Leave us your voicemail. We're all excited to hear. Is that how we're doing it? Do you want us to send in voicemails
However you
with
want
a
to do
review?
it, Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com, Twitter at Wednesday Comics, or 605-215-1849 on the phone.
Yeah, so you can send an email, send a tweet,
Or
whatever you got
Facebook,
to
if
do.
you're Facebook, send me a message. We'll read on the air.
To be fair, I'm glad you guys are doing this reminder because Papa would forget.
And I just saw him be like, whoa, 2 weeks?
The WCL of GEP. Did I do it?
Also, remember, at Alex Pastrello on Twitter, let him know what you want for that next book. Maybe you can influence them before we announce it on that January 5th show of the next book. Remember, visit our sponsor, rootsoftheswampthing.com. Bell. Holland Files Volume 2, or number 2?
Issue 2.
Issue 2. Should be coming out pretty soon. Pre-orders are done. So make sure, hopefully you got yours in. You know how I got mine in? Because I am Swamp Thing. And I went under the ground, into the past,
That's where we would have
put my
John
pre-order in.
pop his head and be like, no, you're not.
But it's going to be great. That first issue was great. If you want to learn more about the Swamp Thing, this guy is hot. Rootsofswampthing.com. You like that pause? I love the
Yeah, he's using the pause because he doesn't have his bell. To create
Marvin
the
may be
pause.
the best.
You are
at
right.
like awkward, dramatic pauses.
That's not awkward.
He does it 'cause
dramatic pauses.
I was uncomfortable because you and I made eye contact, and I waited for you to finish the next sentence.
You'll watch his hand will go like this a little bit every time he pauses.
SuperCon 2018, Return of the Con. That is September 28th, 29th, and 30th. The 28th is a Friday, and Wednesday Comics will be there doing a live show.
Woo, woo.
Wednesday Comics live after dark.
After dark, it is going to be 18 plus. I believe they'll 18 plus after dark. Hey, I'm drinking right now. We're going to drink it that night. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe that Bell will be back finally, and we'll have that Bell be the fourth guest on the show.
Alex, we need to bring slingshots, or you need to sit right next to Marvin so you're like.
Everyone, this is for you. Just crush
Go to
it, man.
supercon.com for more information.
Because I'm so strong.
Find them on facebook.com/supercon or on Twitter at supercon.
cramping.
Certainly talk over the ad.
Hey, you left something out there. We were just making sure that we finished the fans.
I would say if this year was especially, I know earlier Sergeant America said he didn't agree, but I thought this year was great for comics. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. DC Rebirth was awesome. A lot of good Image comics came out. You got your Boom Studio was great. I would say even Boom for your Power
Go
Rangers.
Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's
Books
been
even
a good year.
book. I've heard that book is good. Even books like you would think people would be like, oh, Power Rangers, they're going to phone that in. Nope, great.
It's been great. It's consistently great.
Books also, Marvel's been. I think right now it's kind of early to tell, but I think there's been some books that are coming out right now that I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see if this might be in my 2018.
Legacy has been a good move for Marvel so far,
they
at least from
needed
what we
it.
read.
So
They
far,
needed
yeah.
it.
Also, I guess I'm also curious to see where the new editor-in-chief brings Marvel for the next 12 months. That's just 365 days. Also, I'm excited. There's a lot of new series that were announced for 2018. I guess we usually do that in January, right? Looking forward to. So we'll talk about that then.
That's pastrami news right there, I think.
Speaking of Jeff Lemire, there was he's coming off that
Gideon Falls.
Gideon Falls. We're looking forward to that.
Is he just writing that, or is he drawing and writing?
No, it's
He's writing.
Sorrentino's doing the
Sorrentino's
art.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then he's doing Terrifics. There's also a new wave of
Terrifics will be awesome.
new DC books coming out. We got Doomsday Clock to finish up. A lot of good stuff coming out in 2018. A lot of good stuff in 2017. It's very hard for me to make this list. Like I said, I could easily make a top 15. I actually did notice no honorable mentions because you know why? I really wanted to focus on those 5.
Thanks. Hey, how would we do that all the time?
And how about all the time? Me named Marvin.
That was good. I am Alex.
And I'm Garrett.
Hey, everyone. Keep turning those pages.